Great. Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting Wednesday, October 9th for Design Review Commission. Let's go ahead and do a roll call. And just say aye when your name is announced. Sam Harding,
Aye.
Michael Ma,
Aye, here.
Chepe Mantica,
He's muted.
go ahead and unmute
Aye.
Chepe. Great. And Stuart Klein
Aye.
and David Blockus. So we have all 5 commissioners present. Sean, do we have any items, public comment on items that are not on the agenda?
This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak on items on the agenda. I'm currently not aware of anyone who would like to speak. If somebody would like to speak, please raise your hand. If raising your hand does not work, then please unmute yourself and provide us your name. Providing your name is voluntary. We have a very long list of people. I do not see anyone who's raised their hand. I have not seen anyone that's unmuted themselves. So it appears we have no one who wishes to speak about an item not on the agenda.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move to the consent calendar with item number 1, the election of the chair, the new chair and the new vice chair. We'll go ahead and put it out there. Does anyone have a nomination for the new chair of the DRC?
Yes,
Michael?
Chair Blocks, I would like to nominate Sam Harding as the chair candidate.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote on that. Sam,
Aye.
Michael Ma,
Aye.
Chepe?
Aye.
Stuart?
You are muted.
Aye.
Great, and David is aye as well. So Sam Harding will be the new chair. And now we have to go to the vice chair. Do we have any nominations for the vice chair?
I nominate Michael Ma as a vice
Okay,
chair.
let's go ahead and take a vote on that. Sam Harding,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Chepe?
Aye.
Stuart?
Aye.
And I as well for David. So that's 5 ayes. So we now have our new commission leadership set up. So I will go ahead and formally turn over whatever I'm turning over the chairmanship to Commissioner or the new chair, Sam Harding. Sam, it's all yours.
Thank you, Chair Blockus. And welcome to our new members. And we're glad that you are with us, and maybe at the end of our meeting we can get to know each of you a little better. But let's go ahead and just go through our protocols, which are fairly standard and are ruled by Brown Act activities, and there'll be some changes in that. So our first item for consideration is item number 2. Do you both have the meeting agenda and other documents? Have you been given access to those and or received them at the police station, the packets?
Yes.
You both have. Okay, so so those are the hard copies, and then online are the various other documents. So our first item, item number 2 under the consent calendar, is the approved minutes for regular meeting September 21st. Do we have any comments or corrections to that meeting?
No
Comment on.
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve minutes from September 21st DRC meeting.
I
And is
second.
there- Okay, Chairman Blocker second. All in favor, let me call it. Michael,
Aye.
Stuart,
I think I should abstain. I wasn't at that meeting, so it's hard for me to approve them.
okay. Chepe, do you want to aye, or do you want to abstain?
Abstain, same as Stuart. I was not at that meeting.
Okay, and David
Aye.
and Sam, aye as well. Motion carries with 2 abstaining of our new members. And let's then go to our next item, which is item number 3. And the protocol for our new members is that the first stage of this process is that staff will give us a review. Then we'll hear from the public, or then we'll hear from the applicant. Then we'll hear from the public, any comments. And then the fourth is the board commissioners discussion and action. So those are kind of the 4 steps. And so, all right, we have Sean is the project planner for item number 3. Sean?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, before Sean starts, this is Stuart Klein. I wanted to let you know that I have a hard stop at 9:30 tonight. I'm leaving for the airport on a trip that was planned before I got appointed. So I think you'll still have a quorum after I leave, but I wanted to just put it out there at the beginning that at 9:30 I'll stop.
Okay, safe flight. See you when you return, whenever that is. Thank you for telling us. Okay. Sean,
Before Sean starts, I also wanted to just clarify one issue with the protocols. After public comment, the applicant does have 5 minutes for rebuttal. And so just want to make sure that the commissioners are aware of that, and also members of the public and the applicant themselves. They do have 5 minutes as rebuttal to any public comments. Thanks.
okay, thank you. All right. Sean,
Okay, let me put this on the screen for you. 1 second. Get all you. Good evening, Chair Harding and Commissioners. My name is Sean Gallegos, Senior Planner, City of Los Altos. I'm here tonight to discuss the design review application for 530 Valencia Drive. Move the screen 1 second. Click it. There we go. In your packet, you have the rendering proposed new 2-story structure again at 530 Valencia Drive. The subject property is located in a diverse character neighborhood. It is defined in the city's residential design guidelines. Along Valencia Drive, there are primarily 1-story ranch style houses that are similar in size, footprint, design characteristics, building scale, and rustic materials. And there is 1 2-story house in the immediate neighborhood context at 540 Valencia. Staff does believe they are designed to be a lower scale to be compatible with the neighborhood context. To provide that you have in your packet, the applicant provided an extended context perspective as indicated in the neighborhood compatibility worksheet and the design guidelines. The immediate neighborhood context that the Design Review Commission considers typically is the 2 homes on either side, the 5 homes across the street, and the homes directly behind. As conveyed in the handout, in the submittal, they are extending much further from the normally accepted immediate neighborhood context. And so I wanted just the commissioners to be aware of that. The property, this provides a aerial photo of the site on Valencia Drive and the surrounding properties. The average width of the property is 75 feet, which is below the minimum width of 80 feet for a standard lot in the R110 district. Due to the reduced width, it is allowed a reduced setback of 10% of the lot width, and that is permissible per ordinance. However, the proposed project does comply with the development standards of the R110 district. This provides a view from the street in the upper photograph or rendering. The lower one is the rear rendering of the rear elevation. We have perspectives from a neighbor's view along the right side of the property towards the right and rear corner of the structure located here. We have the rear elevation oriented towards the rear of the property. This is the left side interior elevation. And then again, this is the rear corner elevation. The proposed project, staff believes, is sensitive to the scale. I think these are out of order, but I'll go through them anyways. Proposed project sensitive to the scale of the neighborhood and incorporates similar heights found within the neighborhood context. The project has wall plate heights of 9 foot 1 inch along the center and right side. The center here and along the right side of the front elevation, and it does have low elevations of 8 foot 1 inch at the second story. Along the right side, it does also have a lower plate elevation along the right side of the first story, again following the 9 foot 1 inch plate height on the right, and then a lower plate height of 8 foot 1 on the second story towards the right. It also is then amplified along the rear, which it has a lower, again, extended 8 foot 1 inch plate height at the second story, and the lower plate along the left and center of the rear elevation. The overall height of the structure is 23 feet, which is 4 feet below the 27 foot. Staff does believe that the structure along the center and right side of the front elevation, the right elevation, and the center and left side of the rear elevation are compatible with the overall neighborhood in regards to scale and bulk. But staff does have concerns regarding the left side of the front elevation, the left elevation, and then the right side of the rear. As we can see here, the applicant is proposing up to a 12-foot plate on the left side. Neighborhood plates are, 8 and 9 foot plates. We do not have a lot of substantial plates along the sides. Typically, before the commission with a structure with a reduced setback with a 12-foot height, usually for a taller plate, we see increased setbacks. We see greater breaks in the overall wall. Though the applicant has incorporated an awning to provide an overall break, the usage of a stone material, the usage of tall vertical walls, combined with the overall plate height, staff believes does contribute to a 2-story overall mass that's uncommon in the neighborhood. While it does have design integrity and high quality materials, staff does not believe we can make the findings to approve the project based on the overall bulk and scale and architectural relationship of the taller plate height on the left side of the structure. Staff, to meet the design findings, staff recommends that the DRC provide the following direction through continuance, that the applicant, based on your direction, reduce the bulkiness of the front east elevation, the left south side elevation, and the right side of the rear west elevation by reducing the plate height to a maximum of 9 foot 6 inches. Minimize the tall vertical windows by reducing the header height of the windows to reduce the perception of bulk and mass. With the Design Review Commission's recommendation, recommending the above direction, the applicant returning with those revisions, staff does believe that the project will be well proportionate, articulated to reduce the perception of excessive bulk and mass, and will be an appropriate design for the diverse character neighborhood. On the right side elevation of the second story, the applicant is also proposing a 4 foot 6. Let's see where I'm at. On the right side elevation, which is the upper elevation of the structure, the applicant is proposing a 4 foot 6 wide by 11 foot deep balcony off the master bedroom that is located here. A 6 foot 1 inch privacy wall is proposed along the right elevation to ensure and reduce privacy impacts towards 540 Valencia. With its proposed height, staff does not believe that the balcony does contribute to excessive privacy towards the right side neighbor. To ensure that there is a reduction in overall privacy impacts, staff is concerned with the windowsill heights in bedroom number 2 and bedroom number 3, which are located here and here with the red around the windows. Traditionally, the DRC has taken the position that a minimum sill height of 4 foot 6 inches should be the standard for side-facing windows, unless it is a necessity for egress. Both of these rooms have the availability of front-facing windows, which then would provide egress, and staff does believe that there is the availability to raise these windows to a 4 foot 6 height. Staff does recommend condition number 4 to raise the windowsill height to 4 foot 6 inches in bedroom number 2 and 3. With the smaller window size and the 4 foot 6 height for the window, staff does believe that it would not create unreasonable privacy impacts with the approval of the condition. One second. Oh, sorry. The applicant also did provide in your document, and they may go over this, section drawing. This is something that's recommended by the city to provide section drawings. This is reflective of these details here, are provided in these photographs here that give you an understanding of the view sites from the individual windows. Sorry, I'm in a smart room that's turning off my lights. And then it also provides perspectives in the other direction on the left side. They may provide a greater expansive detailed response to it. Staff's perspective is that the lower plate height still has the potential to have impacts to active areas in the side yard or in the rear yard or into neighboring windows at adjacent properties. Along the south elevation or left side of the structure at the second story, staff is concerned regarding these two windows. That staff does believe at a 3-foot 1-inch sill height may create potential privacy impacts. To ensure that there are no additional privacy impacts, staff recommends condition number 4 to raise the sill height of the master bedroom here and the study here to a 4-foot 6-inch sill height. Staff does believe with the approval of the condition that it would reduce potential privacy impacts to a less than significant level. Along the rear north side second story, and again, I should clarify, the applicant is proposing a balcony that's oriented to the left side. They are proposing a 6-foot 1-inch tall wall combined with the railing wall. They'll diminish or reduce potential privacy impacts to the left side Staff does not believe that the balcony that's proposed will create potential privacy impacts or significant ones to the left. The applicant, along the rear elevation is proposing, as indicated in your floor plans, a 15.75 foot by 7.75 foot balcony off the rear, which is directly off the master bedroom. The balcony on the left side of the rear elevation is what I had advised previously, which is a 4-foot 6 foot wide by 11.5 foot deep balcony off of the master bathroom. Staff is concerned, although there is a limited views towards the sides with 6-foot 1-inch walls, staff is concerned with perspective views towards the rear property lines. Staff is concerned with the usage of a glass railing, which will allow for a greater view perspective towards the rear yard, even though there is a 31.5 foot setback to the right property line and a 36.25 foot setback to the left, and a 66.75 foot setback. And the applicant is proposing the retention of existing evergreen screening and other trees and other evergreen screening as indicated in the staff report. Staff continues to have concerns with potential privacy impacts from the balconies towards the rear. Furthermore, the balcony along the rear, as indicated in the design review guidelines, specifies that a balcony depth should be no greater than 4 feet in depth. A balcony that is greater than 4 feet in depth creates a more active space, which allows for individuals to aggregate on a balcony, potentially create greater noise or view impacts to neighboring properties. So staff did have a concern regarding the overall depth, but does believe with the mitigation to the tempered glass railing, which staff does recommend, and I will go to that screen for you. Sorry. So staff does recommend that the applicant, as stated in the staff report, add that the following direction be provided to the applicant, that the applicant modify the tempered glass railing to replace it with a solid plaster wall railing to match the adjacent railing along the side elevations, that a landscape plan should be revised to incorporate fast-growing evergreen screening along the rear property line to diminish any further views along the rear. Staff believes that with these revisions, the applicant and the commission could meet the design review findings regarding minimizing privacy impacts. The applicant also provided sightline diagrams, which he'll go further in detail about. 17 existing trees are depicted on the site and are further assessed by an arborist. Arborist report is provided on sheet A3. The tree proposes the removal of three significant or groups of significant trees. A 60-inch oak tree is proposed for removal. Again, to clarify, the trees for removal are allocated in a purplish color, and the trees for retention are in a black color. The applicant is proposing the removal of a 60-inch oak tree, which I believe is located here in the front yard. The tree has previously been topped and is in very poor form. Under the city's tree protection ordinance, a protected tree may be removed due to the condition of the tree with respect to disease or due to its proximity to the existing or proposed structure. Due to the removal, staff does recommend the addition of condition number 5 to add a 15-gallon category 1 street tree to replace the loss of the 60-inch tree. Staff does believe that the loss of the tree is consistent. The approval of the removal of the tree is consistent with the tree removal criteria under economic and other impact to the property. In regards to in regards to two trees, two coast live oak trees, tree numbers T6 and T13, a tree needs to be a minimum of 48 inches to be considered protected. These trees do not have a circumference of a minimum of 48 inches or a diameter of 15.4 inches, and therefore does not qualify for protection under the city's tree protection ordinance. And therefore, staff does recommend approval of those unless other direction is provided by the commission. And furthermore, 3 trees, including a maiden tree number T7, a privet tree T8, and a green ash tree T12, have circumferences less than 48 inches, which do not, again, qualify the trees for protection. Staff does believe they can be removed without approval from the city of Los Altos since they are below the protected tree status of 48 inches. A subject arborist, David Beckham, provided analysis of the construction, including the basement, the light well, provided tree protection recommendations, which are incorporated into the packet. Condition 5, staff has required or requested that the commission require a certification letter from an arborist to ensure that tree protection measures are in place prior to foundation inspection. Let's finish. Sorry for the length. A new landscape plan is proposed, including a number of evergreen vegetative screening. It'll be planted along the left and rear property line as indicated here. We do have screening along the left and rear. Where staff had previously raised concerns, we have an area that potentially requires additional screening. The proposed screening includes 16 Pittsiporum tenuifolium, 9 sweet bay trees, and 12 spectrabilis bamboo trees. Since the project includes a new house and new landscaping area that exceeds 500 square feet, it is subject to the city's water efficient landscape regulations. And so that will be applicable at the building permit stage. And that will guarantee that the proposed landscape plan does comply with our water efficient regulation standards. Overall, the existing and proposed landscaping staff does believe meets the city's intent regarding landscape regulations and street tree guidelines. Again, as stated previously, staff found that the design is not consistent with residential design guidelines to minimize privacy impacts from the following aspects along the rear property line, and recommends a tempered glass railing be modified to solid plaster, that the landscape plan be revised to incorporate fast growing evergreen screening along the rear property line. And again, kind of restating it all, which is indicated in the staff report, which I won't go over. This concludes staff's presentation. Unless there are any questions, thank you.
Commissioners, any questions of Sean? Michael?
No question.
Okay. Stuart? Jeppe? Questions?
No questions. Good presentation, Sean.
Okay, and David?
Yeah, I've got a few questions. So Sean, how many iterations have we gone through to get to this point?
I'd have to go back.
Because it seems like there's some areas that lack to our design guidelines.
So we raised the issues in our first comment letter, and I And we did have discussions about it with the applicant, which they could speak to. And I know they went back, I don't want to speak for the applicant, but I believe they did speak to the property owner. They did do outreach with, and they probably didn't speak to that. They did do outreach with the surrounding neighbors, which the surrounding neighbors were supportive. So they did not propose to modify it, even though staff had concerns regarding the overall size of it. So I believe we only went through one round. It may have been a second round, but they never proposed to modify that since they had the surrounding neighbors supporting it. And those letters, I believe, are part of your packet.
Okay. And so in here, you also talked about, reducing the bulkiness with the plate heights from 12 down to 9.6. And the windows, which are a suggestion from you or from staff, but they chose not to do that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, correct. I mean, we raised the issue of the plate height on the left side. I mean, as you're aware, traditionally, these type of projects with the taller plates don't traditionally come to the commission, and staff traditionally doesn't recommend continuance with direction with these specific directions. Usually we resolve them in advance. But yes, we did raise these issues, and they may be able to explain the particular positions. Staff does believe it is a well-developed design, well coordinated with the roof planes, and the overall architectural vocabulary is great. It does meet the design guidelines. The potential issues are the overall bulk and scale on the left side. If they would lower those plates, which we requested before, and reduce the overall height of those windows, it would be a compatible design with a diverse character neighborhood and with the neighborhood context.
And was there a discussion about reducing the depths of the decks? Because both are what we typically classify as, larger than normal, the 4-foot depth. So they become sort of active.
Less so. So no, staff did not approach them about reducing the overall deck depth, mostly because they had in advance proposed the overall privacy walls on the sides oriented towards the sides, which staff believe would potentially reduce potential privacy impacts. Typically, staff's concern is that it even though it may have a congregation area, that there may be impacts more greater to the side property lines, and the applicant had mitigated those by adding these privacy walls, which staff believes would address that. But that is an issue that the commission could raise if you are concerned that the balcony depth still is concerned even with the privacy fences or walls.
Okay. Let me check here further. Okay, I guess that's all for now. I think I have some further questions for the applicant.
Okay, David, I have no further comments. So let's hear from the owner and the architect.
Good evening. I'm Peter Balte with Topos Architects. I'll be presenting for the applicant side of it. You can hear me okay?
Yep, but can't see you.
If you'd like, I'll turn the video on. There we are. Hi.
Hi.
Chair
so-
Blockus, did Commissioner Klein have an opportunity to speak? I didn't catch that in the.
I did. I think so. I think he was my first, and he.
Okay.
Yeah, I said no questions.
Okay, great. I missed it. I'm sorry for interrupting. Thank you.
To the chair, I would like to read a presentation of a few minutes, and then the owner would also like to make a brief statement. Will that be okay?
Yes.
Okay, and then there were some questions recently raised. We'd be happy to address those, but maybe you'd like to do that as questions to us first, if you don't mind.
Why don't you make your presentation? It's 10 minutes for you and the owner. Why don't you do that? And then if there are questions, we can go from there.
Very good, thank you. So thank you to the Design Review Committee members and Los Altos staff for allowing us to present our project this evening. We are excited about our proposal for a new home for Esteban Kozak, Shobita Thomas, and their growing family. Please also allow us to extend thanks to the Town of Los Altos Planning Department staff for their assistance in preparing our application. Our planner, Sean Gallegos, has been at turns critical and complimentary, helpful and professional, and always friendly and courteous. Esteban and Shabia have asked for a new home that is warmly contemporary, a home that's built of modern materials with current technologies, but also a home that is comfortable and inviting, one that fits into the neighborhood and contributes positively to the rich residential fabric of Los Altos. The design before you presents a horizontally defined two-story home with a single masonry element anchoring the facade, locating the entry. The upper bedrooms are centrally located and set back from the sides and front of the structure to minimize visual bulk and privacy impacts. Horizontal finished banding and an 8-foot upper wall height reinforce a modest and low-key appearance. The pitched upper roof further relates to other houses in the area, while the horizontal first floor eave line unifies the garage and entry into a cohesive design and prevents the garage door from dominating the street facade. While the single-story living and dining room has a taller ceiling, the eave line is substantially stepped down at the center third. That's the awning feature Sean mentioned, along the left property line, helping the building relate to its neighbors. The single-story living room eave also provides substantial privacy by blocking sightlines from the upper floor. Those are the windows Sean was mentioning in the bedrooms. Because of that tall living room, you really can't see past it down into the neighboring property. Please also note that the taller single living room element strongly helps to balance the Valencia Drive facade. Lowering this roof to the 9.5 feet staff recommends will have a seriously detrimental effect on the building's appearance because you'll have two horizontal facades at roughly the same height. The other one is 9 feet tall, and we strongly oppose doing that. The cement plaster finish is common throughout the house, although the smooth hand-troweled surface with an intricately pigmented color will present a contemporary aesthetic that is also pleasant to touch. The masonry finishes at the chimneys and low horizontal walls also take cues from other residential architecture along the street, yet the honed limestone offers an understated and elegant punctuation of quality. Wood windows with a dark metal-clad exterior finish are of a residential scale and contrast attractively with the plaster walls. All the materials are durable and of high quality, ensuring a beautiful and long-lasting home. At the rear of the house on the upper floor, we have two outdoor areas of great importance to our clients. Both are enclosed and screened such that they have minimal to no privacy impact on the neighbors. The side patio adjacent to the master bathroom is completely enclosed and has no external views. The bedroom patio, which is just large enough for a few sunbathing chairs, is oriented to the pool and backyard, allowing Shabita and Esteban to supervise the children in the pool from their bedroom. We are also proposing substantial landscape screening along the side property lines to further ensure neighborhood privacy. We're also happy to provide additional landscaping at the back. And I call attention to the commission that while this balcony may be larger than the minimum size, by its very nature of being off the master bedroom, it will not be used for larger gatherings. It's strictly for the use of the owners of the house. That's why it's off the master bedroom. And by that very nature, it will make it not intensely used. It's also worth noting that the second floor windows along the right side of the house are 33 feet from the adjacent house, 22 feet from the property line, and along the left side of the house are 38 feet from the adjacent house, 26 feet from the property line. The primary upper floor windows are oriented towards the street and backyard, and secondary upper floor windows, which face side yards, have 5-foot sill heights. Detailed sightline studies demonstrating our minimal privacy impact are included in our drawing package on sheets A32 to 34. And I call to your attention, taking the side windows in the upstairs bedrooms, number 2 and 3 on the street side, they're corner windows. They wrap around the corner and reinforce the horizontal banding, which helps lower the height of the building. You can't just make one part of a corner window higher than the other. The whole design effect is changed. Those windows are intentionally and practically focused towards the street. They do not focus in on the neighbor's property. There's no significant windows on our neighbor's house. The neighbors have indicated they're happy with those windows. We request that you consider strongly the front bedrooms, keeping the windows the way they are. Our clients came to us a year ago with, we thought at the time, a reasonable request that their home be completed by August of 2024, so their daughter could ride her bicycle to high school up the street. We solicited community and planning department input, held a neighborhood design review meeting, and submitted plans last spring. After one formal round of design revisions and numerous discussions with Sean and more detailed changes, we are chagrined that we are before you here in October, needing to start construction early next year. Needless to say, we will greatly appreciate anything you can do to help us get to the construction starting line as soon as possible. That concludes my statement. I'd like to introduce Shalita Thomas and Esteban Kozak, our clients, who would like to make a brief statement as well.
Okay, hold on just a minute. Sean, were you running the 10-minute clock?
Yes, I am. I am still running it. It's at 4 minutes, 17 seconds. I'll pause it.
Okay, thank you. You have 4 minutes, owners. Thank you, Peter.
Good evening, Los Altos Design Review Commission members. Thank you for considering our application. Esteban and I were fortunate to be able to purchase our property on Valencia Drive in 2021. It has long been our dream to live in Los Altos, and we're excited to present our home plans to you this evening. Los Altos is very special to us for many reasons. The main reason being that some of our closest friends and family members are residents of the city, because of which we have spent a considerable amount of time here over the last decade and a half. We love the sense of community Los Altos has to offer, and we think our family will benefit greatly from being a part of it. We have 4 kids ranging from 9 months to 12 years. It is imperative that we offer them the best education possible, and we believe that Los Altos schools are a great fit for our kids. We witness how amazing the schools are via our friends' kids. The balanced diversity and holistic approach to education are things we deeply admire. We're so grateful to have the opportunity to build our dream home in this wonderful city. When we embarked on this project a year ago, we were very deliberate in timing it such that our oldest daughter, Sophia, can go to Los Altos High School, and her sister, Sasha, can transition to junior high in August of 2024. Back then, our design team thought 3 years was plenty of time to build a home in Los Altos. In fact, we were ahead of the game. However, we are very tight on timelines. Schematic design took 6 months, and then town planning review another 6 months. Our contractor tells us they need 18 to 20 months to build a new home. Working backwards, if we are to hit the August 2024 timeline, we must start construction early next year, for which we need your approval today. Our design team and us have been lining things up as best as we can to make August 2024 a reality. In an effort to ensure we had our neighbors' support and to see to it that our home complements the streetscape of Valencia Drive, we reached out to all our neighbors. We have met with many of them individually and via public open house review meeting we hosted on the street side last April. We incorporated their feedback into the designs by having a more modest street appearance, lowering the roof, and reducing the masonry at the entry. This was a fantastic way for us to get to know our neighbors, and we were so encouraged by the positive responses we received. The letters of support we received from them are a testament to this. You might be wondering whether it's possible to get building permits in time, even with your approval today. Well, our design team has risen to the challenge and will have designs complete and drawings ready for building permit submission next month, contingent upon your approval this evening. They got started on construction drawings ahead of time so they can spend the next 2-3 weeks doing the final touches. To conclude, we can't begin to express how excited we are to raise our 4 kids in Los Altos. More importantly, it is our fervent hope that Sophia be able to start her Los Altos Eagles career living on Valencia Drive, and that Sophia and Sasha can avoid any disruptions caused from having to switch schools in the middle of the school year. Especially for Sophia, who is counting on her 4 years at Los Altos High to set her up for a great college. Any disruptions can affect her undergraduate years, and we hope you can support her aspirations by approving our home this evening. We greatly appreciate your consideration of our schedule in your review tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're within the time, and thank you for that as well. Sean, do we have anyone, public comments?
see if there's any member of the public who would like to speak tonight regarding this item, please raise your hand. If you're not able to raise your hand, please unmute yourself and provide us your name. Again, providing your name is optional. I do not see anyone who's raised their hand, and I do not see anyone who has unmuted themselves. So it appears we do not have any public speakers.
Okay, thank you, Sean. If no speakers, then let's move to the commissioners' discussion. During this time, we'll talk amongst ourselves, and following that, we will come to our decision. So let's start with some of the existing members and then go to the new members just to maybe watch the process that we will go through. Okay, Michael, why don't you begin?
Okay, I'll begin. I think the design idea, and I think the design composition is good. The use of a different material is good. Yeah, I like the how the architecture put together for this kind of contemporary house. However, you know, those raised by the staff planner Shang doing that review, and also Commissioner Block has also mentioned when he has some question just a few minutes ago. So there's some definitely some improvements needed on this one. I also listened to the architect about how balanced that front is. I admit it's balanced, but how a good architecture not only working on the, you know, the house itself. I mean, that need to also, a good architecture also need to follow the zoning and the design guideline, how compatible that is, need to work well, you know, with the rules. I think that's also important. So let me start with the some of the, let's say start with the outside, the privacy. I noticed that that there are two balconies of the master bedroom. I think usually, and one of them is oversized. And usually I just don't understand why you need a two balcony of the master bedroom. You know, usually one would be sufficient. I understand that needs to overlook in the pools in case the children are playing in the pool. So I don't understand why there's a second balcony. And then there's a privacy screening. I think that helps, you know, to mitigate the privacy concern to the neighbors. So if just for my decision, I would just say keep one balcony. And I think with the one facing the rear with the privacy screening, and I'm fine with the just one balcony facing the rear with the privacy screen. The second one, I just don't understand the need for it. And
so, Michael, excuse me if I can interrupt. So, Commissioner Harding, are we not asking questions of the applicant at this point, or?
Oh,
Okay.
I thought.
Or are you?
Are we doing the discussion?
We're doing.
No,
our discussion. Did you want to have a time where we would, each commissioner would ask of the
yeah,
owner?
because normally they present and then we ask questions of
Okay.
the applicant to see, and I thought that's where we were. So,
Okay.
Michael,
You're
that's
right.
what I thought you were doing.
Okay.
Commissioner Harding suggests to clarify the typical process. So it's staff presentation and questions from the commission, then applicant presentation and questions from the commission, then public comments. And if the public speaks and you have questions, and you can have questions for the commenters, and then you close any public comment, and then it's just closed to public discussion. No member of the public can speak unless you allow them to, and it's just the commission itself speaking one by one and together collaboratively to come up with a final motion or action.
So Chair Harding, should we go back to question for the architect owner?
Yes, let's go back to questions from commissioners to the architect.
Okay, so I guess I'll start it first. since I already touched on some of the questions. So the main question is the balcony. I think either the architect or the owner, if you can answer why you need 2 balcony of the master bedroom.
I can address that, but maybe let me see if the owners would like to. Esteban, would you like to address that question?
Yeah, simply we, explain the reason why it's important for us to have that balcony in the back, and primarily to be able to look over the children, either they're playing or they're in the pool. On the balcony on the side, it's a nice feature. It's fully covered with a 6.1, wall around it, and it's the ability to be able to, have open the door and have that fresh air coming from the outside, being able to use that feature in a way in which really take advantage of this amazing weather we have in California, and something that we always wanted to have. So that's kind of like the reason. And I thought when it was proposed to us, we thought, what a great thing to have since we live here in such a beautiful weather.
If I could add to that quickly, the intention really is to create a space where you could step outside and perhaps shower or just catch some fresh air while you're in the shower. And we'd like to think of it not as an outdoor balcony, in the sense that it will never be used as a place where one sits to enjoy the outside and say, look at the neighbor. And it's entirely enclosed. It's more of an outdoor bathroom feature than it is a balcony. We just put that for your consideration. Thank you.
Michael,
Okay.
go ahead,
Right.
Michael.
Thank you. Let me see if any question. Okay, yeah. My second question is along the left side yard, next to or adjacent to the new pool, you remove some of the existing tree and planted some new trees, but the new tree planted will be smaller to start with. And I understand that one of the existing tree may be too close to the pool. But why you want to remove, all the tree along that side? Because I'm more concerned about the privacy as well. Because your balcony, even with the privacy screen, may potentially looking beyond the pool over that the fence, and the new plant's gonna be growing slower. So if the architect and owner can answer that question as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. Our expectation is that the new plants we will put on the left side property will provide superior landscape screening to the trees, because they'll be rapidly growing, densely clustered trees in a linear fashion, whereas the tree is a large canopy going in all directions, but you can see underneath the canopy. Additionally, putting a swimming pool there makes it very difficult to have so many trees right at the edge of the pool. We've done our best to save about 2 out of the 3 or 4 on that property line. As testament to our wanting to save trees, we've preserved all the other trees in the backyard. We very much want to keep them. It's just so difficult to have them next to a pool, and we think we can provide superior landscape screening with our proposal. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. That's pretty much I have for right
Okay.
now.
Thank Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, David.
Yeah, I still have further questions on the master bath balcony. You folks have mentioned it's for getting fresh air, potentially drying off or whatnot. The 4'6", yeah, I can understand that. I don't understand the 11'5". I mean, that's substantial. And by my look at it, it's probably 17 feet, maybe 18 feet from the property line, looking right into the pool area. And if you are out there drying off or whatnot, you've got kind of a two-way issue, your privacy while drying off, and secondly, the privacy of the people in the backyard area across the way. So I have some pretty serious issues with that particular thing. I also have a question, and this might relate back to staff, that you provided a bunch of sight lines, and I don't know what the standard is of care for those, but you put a person at 5'6" or 5'8". I think it's 5'6". The view line from 5'6". Sean, is that a standard line? Because I'm 6'3", I would look right over the top of everything. And so, could you explain how that works?
The city doesn't have a specific standard for sightline. We don't even have like a zoning regulation or policy regarding sightline. It was something that the commission has specifically requested over time. If they believe there should be a specific height, then we could follow that based on your direction. But
Well,
we
it
currently
seems
don't
like
have-
to me, the sight lines are, for lack of a better word, nefarious in that at 5'6" or so, the people who are in that space, or if you sell the property down the line, the new potential people in that space, those really aren't realistic sight lines. And especially on that right side where, and maybe the architect could clarify to me where specifically the bathroom deck is to the side property line. I have it about 17-ish feet. Am I off base or am I on target? And that's for the architect, please.
Sure, if that's a question, yes. So to address the balcony off the master bathroom, I'm even
Correct.
saying it's not a balcony. You're correct. It's approximately 17 feet from the property line. However, that has a privacy screen of 6 feet tall, the height of the privacy screen. So Commissioner Blockus, if you're 6'3" tall, your eyes are considerably lower than that, well below the 6 foot limit. You will not, even you, a tall person, would not be able to see outside of that balcony if you were 1 foot from the property line.
Correct, but
That's
help
the
me out here. It
frontage.
looks like the from about 4 feet up, give or take, the top part of that privacy area is about 70% covered. There's slot holes and all of that. It looks like the design looks like you can see through that.
We would be happy to mitigate that design to whatever percentage of transparency you think is appropriate. That's typically what we see on various towns we work with up and down the peninsula, that a privacy screen is considered private when it blocks a percentage of visibility looking through. Otherwise, it's just a wall. And 70% is way beyond the typical amount, but we're happy to comply with any requirement you feel is comfortable. The other windows on the right-hand side of the house, the only ones that are lower than a 5 foot sill height are the 2 bedrooms up in the front, which are oriented and angled towards the street, away from the neighbors, and really don't have a view into the backyard.
Correct,
that
correct.
answers
The
your
front
question.
windows have views sort of side yard, but how, so and I don't have it here. The furthest back bedroom, not the principal bedroom, which would be bedroom number 2. How far forward is that to the lot? What's the front setback of the second story window on bedroom number 2?
So we'll have to get back to you with that information, but we can figure it out in a few minutes' time. My associate Francis Pham is on the meeting with us. Can we get
Yeah,
back to you
because
with that?
unfortunately, part of this doesn't have, and maybe I'm completely missing it, setbacks for kind of the key areas that we're discussing on the plans anywhere that I could find. For example, I was guesstimating the master bath balcony staging area, whatnot, at 17 feet. I couldn't find anything in the plans stating that it was the exact same at 17 feet, and as well as with the second bedroom. The third bedroom, I'm not concerned. I think that's far enough forward that you're probably looking over a bath, the garage or the very front of the house, and it's set back probably twice the depth of the balcony.
Okay, we can get back to you in a few minutes with the permission.
Yep,
of
that would
the
be
chair with
great.
that dimension.
Yep.
And then all the other windows on that side, for example, in the master bedroom, are small square windows that are considerably higher on the wall. They're, I
Correct.
think, from 8 feet to 5.5 or 6 feet high. And then they're bathroom windows. You really don't have a view into the yards from that.
Right,
On
and let's
purpose.
go to the rear balcony,
Yes, okay.
the depth and that. Is it possible to do that space, having the sides, you know, at the 6 foot, I think that's 6 foot walls on the sides, is that correct?
We have
One
6
is like 6,
privacy screens, yes.
yeah. Could that wrap around a foot or so into the main part of the balcony area? So if they're sitting there, really that focuses the look directly to the backyard versus any sort of side yard.
And that sounds like a reasonable request to me. Our intention is that the balcony be able to see the swimming pool for obvious safety concerns. We're happy to consider wrapping it around the corners as you suggest. That might be a positive change.
Okay. And then the last thing is could you explain again the reason for the 12-foot sill heights for that front room, the family room?
We have
Or
a fairly,
playroom.
that room is fairly large and it's proportional to the size of the room internally. And we believe on the massing on the exterior, if you made it 9 foot high, it would significantly detract from the overall appearance of the building. We went through several rounds of discussion with the staff on the height of that building and alternative to lowering it down. At their suggestion, we broke up the mass on the side. The concern was that the appearance at an angle from the left side be somehow broken up so you didn't have a continuous eave line. We made that change, and respectfully to Sean, we thought he was satisfied that met the requirements. We're happy to consider reducing the height a little bit, but to bring it down to 9.5 feet really detrimentally affects the overall appearance of the building. So we really were resistant to changing it too much without losing the overall effect of the design. We did lower the upper roof by a foot at staff's request. I fear it was so long ago that some of these issues were not fully remembered, but we made quite a few changes. We had a whole different design at the front with a larger stone piece and a balcony even, which all of that was modified with in conjunction of working with the staff.
Well, and one thing I want to throw out there is we want to get you a good design that's compatible with the neighborhood that you like. And sometimes those things don't have time frames. And to try to rush, which both you and the applicant said, we want to get our daughter into school. We want to get her into Los Altos. You have the property address, so the daughter can enroll in that school. So there's not really a rush to get it in. Maybe the first month or 2 or 6 months or whatever, you may have to go from your older home that you're renting, presumably, to school. She won't be able to ride her bike, which would be an inconvenience. But I would kind of suggest let's not look at trying to get it in by a certain deadline, because I know those things sometimes lead to poor design, and look at getting it done right. And you've done a great job up to this point, but frankly, this is my second tour of the Design Review Commission. And this is one of 2 in 6 years or 5 years that I've done that ever came through without staff recommending approval. So I think that might tell you something.
David, is that, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, so I'm done with my questions. If we could get back to me with that one question on the
let me move to
setback.
Let me move
Yep.
to our new Commissioner Stewart. Why don't you go next? Unmute. unmute.
Yes, sorry.
There we go.
Sorry about that. So yeah, with the caveat that this is my first meeting, so I'm still learning. I guess my biggest concern is what was just stated, that while I'm sympathetic to a child starting school, that to me is not a reason to make hasty decisions, especially because the child is currently eligible to attend the school. So, so I think we have to do the right thing from the point of view of this committee and not take into account externalities like that. The back.
Chair Harding, could we get, I'm sorry to interrupt again, and I'm used to being the chair. We go back to questions for the applicant.
Yeah, I'm Stuart. Do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you. So could the applicant explain why the start of school is such an overriding concern that we should focus on that more than the design?
If I could quickly mention, it's not so much the start of school as it is one of parity. They've anticipated 3 years to build a home in Los Altos. Are you really saying it should take longer than that to build a home in this town? It just seems to me that the process has been so slowed down due to the pandemic and due to staff shortages and due to the city being extremely slow in processing this. And those are information we're all aware of, that we're asking for your help to expedite the process. We, of course, want to go through the design as best we can. And of course, the school start is not reason in and of itself to rush a design. What we're really asking for is, if at all possible with the board, find a way to conditionally approve this so we can make a few changes and move the process forward at the same time. We would greatly appreciate that flexibility, in part recognition because of how slow the process is these days. Thank you.
Stuart, do you have questions?
I also have another question for the applicant or the architect. It's my last question, but I had children and I have a swimming pool, and I supervised them closely, and we had a pool cover in addition. It seems a little odd to me, frankly, to supervise children from upstairs, from far away, in the master bedroom in the middle of the day when children would presumably be swimming. So I just wanted to try to understand if I'm missing something with the intended use of the balcony.
Perhaps I could ask Shobita to give us a mother's perspective on that issue.
Yeah.
So we would, I'm totally with you, Commissioner, around safety for the children. We have every intention of being right there with them when they're in the pool. However, we are looking at this home we're going to be there for the next 20, 30 years. That's kind of how we're looking at this. Our kids who are tiny now, they're going to get they'll get bigger, and as that happens, we do foresee ourselves being downstairs, but also being upstairs in the master bedroom and wanting to have that ability to constantly keep an eye on them. So you're absolutely right. When they're young, we're not going to be, 2 feet or more than 2 feet away from them. But as they get bigger and we grow into this house, our hope is that we can, we will be able to monitor them, and just them in the backyard, in the not just in the pool, but have that flexibility to always keep an eye on them from even from our master bedroom.
Thank you for explaining. No more questions.
Okay, thanks, Stuart. Okay, Chepe.
Yeah, just one question. This is directed towards the homeowners, Shobita and Esteban. Hi. Are you aware that at any point after the sun goes down, there is full exposure of everything that goes inside the house through the 12-foot glass public area of the house, which is living room, family room, and dining. Are you aware of that?
We're aware, and
Los Altos is a really dark neighborhood. Neighborhood, and any light, even a candle that is inside the house will light up the house because of the differential of light. You're aware of that?
Yes, we're aware of that, and thank you for emphasizing it. We do plan on having window treatments throughout that entire wing, where we have the glass. And so our intention would be, the moment sun goes down, we would want to ensure that our privacy is secured, and so we would have those window treatments give us that privacy. But I think you raise a very good point.
And Peter, have you found a vendor that has shades 12 feet plus as roll down? Or
absolutely, we do this frequently on designs, and it's fairly straightforward to have drop-down Lutron shades electrically activated. The windows are Colby Vista Lux series, which are pretty good at this size. We think it's a legitimate point that there's an exterior privacy issue. However, this is very much the design that our clients feel both fits their needs and is a reasonable thing in Los Altos. It may be more contemporary than some of the ranch homes on the street, but it's not grossly out of line. It's not on the second floor as well. It's not across the whole facade. It's one piece of the living room with many masonry pieces that control the angles. And to the point I was making earlier, if it's necessary, we'd be happy to revisit that and perhaps come back to a subcommittee or something to get that one piece changed on the windows if necessary. Thank you for asking that question.
Okay. Chepe?
No further questions.
Okay, I have no further questions either. I think they've all been addressed. I do like the project, but I also am concerned about the issues that have been mentioned by staff and commissioners. With that, I will close the comments from the public and move to the commissioners' discussion.
We haven't gone to the public comments yet.
Well, we had that before, and there was no one. Is that Sean? You want to ask again? But there wasn't any earlier.
Yes, you made a request for public comment, and I did, and there were no public comments. I can always ask members of the public to see if someone has joined.
Okay.
Is there any member of the public who would like to now speak on the item? If so, please raise your hand. If you cannot raise your hand, please unmute yourself, providing your name. Providing your name is optional. Again, there appears to be no one that's raising their hand or unmuting themselves.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. Thereby, I will close the discussion and turn it over to the commissioners for their discussion. Let's start. Michael, why don't you begin?
Okay, so as I mentioned, I'll just quickly go over that list again. We all talk about the balcony. That's a concern, and then why there are two balconies. Usually, I mean, one balcony facing the rear, that's already over our typical size, and then there's a second balcony. I don't really care what's the use. I mean, why if the next time there's another project come up with a 3 balcony on 3 sides, I think that's definitely not happening. The second one is I understand about tree, so I'm okay with the tree. The next one will be the windows. The second floor window on the right side, left side. I do understand from the design aspect that the corner window is very, very important. I'm an architect myself. I know that how the corner windows, so important to the modern design. However, again, I mean, not just from the house design itself, we also have the concern from all aspects. So the one on the right-hand side, especially the ones, I mean, the front corner toward the right-hand side, especially the one closer to the property line. The one further away, I'm less concerned. The one closer, I mean, the 540 Valencia on the right side is a 2-story house. And I know the house 2-story, they have some windows also facing this way. So how that window and the other window gonna be, what's the position? Are they have a direct line of sight? It's not addressed. On the other hand, those side window on the left-hand side, rear of the master study, and those two windows, I'm less concerned about those two windows because those are, further away, overlooking the ground floor high roof, and also 520 Valencia. It's a one-story house, so that line of sight, may not be visible from that two windows. So I'm less concerned about that one. Finally, the 12-foot ceiling. Usually, if let's say you have a lot more setback from the front and the side, then that maybe that 12-foot roof ceiling may be considered. But however, this is a narrow lot with a 75 or 76 frontage. So your side yard is already narrow. So lowering that I think it's definitely, but lowering how much, I think I would like to see how other commission. I think Sean proposed 9'6". I know 9'6" is usually I would say, we start with the 9'6" to discuss among commissioner. As the new commissioner Chappé mentioned, they are light, at night. That I think Chappé bring up a very good point. At night when you light up that room, I mean, even though it's even with a very dim light, and the neighbor, we're talking to our neighbor that's only 10 to 12 feet, 15 feet the most from your windows, and at night, that's even with some shades or curtain, you still can see the light if it's pretty all light up. So yeah, I definitely this one need to have some revision in order for our commissioner to approve.
Okay, Michael, David, you're next.
Excuse me, to the chair, we have an answer to the question. I believe it was Commissioner Blockus asked us.
Yeah,
Sorry,
go ahead
but-
with the front
Go ahead.
window.
Go ahead
Is that
with
okay?
your answer. Yes.
Yeah, the corner window for bedroom 3 is 30 feet from the front setback.
I thought I was talking about 2, the one that's further deeper.
I'm sorry.
that bedroom too?
Okay, bedroom 2 is 40 feet back.
So 40 feet. So that's going to be looking sort of mid, probably they're 25, 35, 40. So that's probably looking over garage and whatever that front room is on the other. Okay, thank you.
Okay, David, any other questions?
Yeah, no. So my conversation goes back to the deck off of the master bath. I'm having a problem with. I would like to see. Well, I'd like to continue it. I'd like to see that come back with some modification of, it's 4.6 or 4.5 feet or whatnot. I'm not so concerned about that as I am that it runs the length that goes 11, 12 feet. I'd like to see that reduced at a minimum, 6, 8 feet or whatnot, to where it works for what the plan is of going out in that space. And that might be, 7 feet of length or 6 feet of length, but I'd like to see that reduced. I would defer to the two who are architects to put out in regards to reducing the sill plate heights on the, I think you call it the playroom or what, off on the left-hand side of the property. So I would go with the 9.6 on that, unless, I can see a drawing that shows, if you're at 10 or 10.6 or whatever, that is aesthetically looks as good. So I'm not totally stuck on the 9.6, but I want to see that come down because that is a big space and that's a lot of light. And it might be, you know, just losing the top set of windows or the bottom set of windows to do that. I would like to see, and I believe it was already a condition, but let me confirm, the back deck solid in the solid on the low side, you know, at the 4 feet or whatever it is, going all the way across the patio. So I think they had mentioned, staff had mentioned that the tempered glass railing be replaced, have that done into a solid. And I do have one last question, Chair, for the architect. I'm looking at A15. Does the privacy screening on the rear balcony, does that come around, or because you can't really see going depth-wise? So is it making a L from the wall of the master bedroom coming out as an L? Or is that just there to show that you have the siding there? Because I can't see if it has anything. I don't think it does.
Through the chair, can I respond to that?
Yes, you
Yeah.
can.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
thank you. On the master bedroom balcony, our intention is to have a narrow planter on the left and right sides on the internal side of the privacy screen. So the privacy screen returns the depth of that planter, which is approximately 16 inches. That's our plan as presented to you. And
Thank you.
Okay, so if you look at me, I'm a visual guy. I'm the wall of the house. It goes out like this, the 7 feet, and then in like this of 16 inches. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay,
Okay,
that's what I didn't pick up.
David, any more question?
I don't, I think that's it. So I'd like to see
Okay.
it come back with those modifications
Okay, thank you.
or
Stuart,
something similar.
Stuart, you're next.
Thank you. And I got the mute right this time. I think Commissioner Ma nailed it. It's a narrow lot and there's a lot of mass and bulk on the left side. I'm not totally attached to 9'6", but I think there should be a recognition that there's too much bulk there. I think the balcony issue, I'm satisfied on, particularly if it wraps. I think some glass in between could be okay. And it makes sense to me that that as the children get older, they don't need to be supervised so closely at the pool. So those would be my two concerns.
Okay, Stuart, thank you. Chepe?
Mhm.
Chepe?
Yeah,
Yep.
no further questions.
Okay. I have no further questions also. So moving to our decision, we can do a couple of things and Sean will guide us on this. We can continue it. And we can continue it with the stipulations that are already listed, plus additional ones primarily about the balcony. Or we can approve it with stipulations to be resolved with the planning department following. So that's what I see as the two possibilities. So if one of you four would like to make a proposal for one of those and see if there's approval of that, and if not, to make a more stringent, which is to require the changes and the continuance to come back to our commission again. Who would like to begin?
Chair Harding, do you mind if I ask the applicant and architect one question?
You can ask them. Go ahead and ask them.
Okay, so based on what you just proposed, so for the architect applicant, if we make a condition to approve it based on the staff recommended condition plus what we have discussed, would you be willing to consider that? Because I don't want the commission to start moving a motion and then you guys don't accept it. Then, or rather you want us to list all the comments and the condition and we can continue the item. So that's we give you the option right now, then we're gonna move forward with a motion.
You may answer.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Ma. That's exactly what we were hoping to do, is have a chance to respond to that. We would hope we could leave the corner windows on one of the upstairs bedrooms as it's presented and only modify the second one, the one that's further back. That's a staff recommendation that we would like to modify. We would hope that at least one of the corner windows in the master bedroom in the back would be acceptable. Otherwise, we're happy to make those changes. And we are certainly happy to reduce the size of the balcony off of the bathroom, as I believe it was Commissioner Blockus recommended. We can easily reduce that down to 7 feet, say. The big question is the height of the living room. And we feel that if we reduced it in height to less than 11 feet or possibly 10.5 at the most, we really have to go back to the drawing board. The design doesn't hang together. So we would propose to reduce that to 10.5 feet.
I believe, based on my understanding, that I think all commissioner would like to see it reduced to what, or close to what the staff recommended on the condition.
So we're hopeful that the commission will consider 10.5 feet. It's tough for us to design in this condition otherwise. So we respectfully request that if you could consider that or even take a straw poll on that, we would really appreciate it.
Okay, so right now, why don't we discuss about this among commission chair? If that's do you think that's a direction you want?
Yes, let's have
discuss
our discussion again on that one item.
Okay.
Chair
Go ahead.
Harding?
Yeah.
If I could provide clarification on staff's position for you, is that possible?
Yes.
So staff came forward with the 9.6 as a recommendation, but as a lot of the commissioners are aware, it is very common in these style of homes to have segments of a side with a taller plate where a majority is a lower plate, 9.6, and then a segment of the property, either the rear family room is popped up with a taller plate, and the front portion of either the living room is a lower plate, or using clear source or something. So we usually don't see the entire length, which was what staff's concern was, but you can utilize a combination of those factors. And if the applicant is willing to do that, staff probably would have been supportive of the project if they had come forward with a combination of plates, but they did not do that on the left side.
So if they were to agree to that, would staff?
Yeah, I mean, staff's been supportive of that before because that's been a very common design focus we've seen with the commission, where we see rooms along the back elevation that are at the corner with a popped up height, but then the majority of the length is at a lower plate. So then they still capture the big volume that is very common with contemporary modern designs today. But then they kind of fit in along the frontage a little bit better. But it's really up for them to decide how that will work with this design, because it is a little complex to make that change, I think.
Okay. So, Michael, so do we have the means and interest to make it approved with the contingencies listed? Or do you think that we need to continue it with a return with the things?
My belief is also, I mean, they are very close. I mean, they know what, after tonight, they know the direction. I mean, my personal opinion is always like, you spend another couple, 2, 3. I don't know what's the next time they can come back, but usually we've seen some of the quick turnaround, within a couple of weeks or 2 to 4 weeks, come back, and they can polish the design a lot better, with enough time, rather than rushing it through with, even though we try to be clear, but we may leave some rooms, for the staff between the staff and the architect to decide at the time. But I agree with Sean that this could be, there are a lot of options for the design, to be revised. It could be step up, from the front, or, I see another option is that I'm just making some suggestion that, because this is a 7'6" side setback, and they could do, let's say 9'6" or 10, at the near the property line, the side and the front, and then kind of step up throughout the entire length, step up, recess 2 feet and step up another, 1.5 feet or something, so they can retain the design and then also the height, but they kind of step back design. So I'm trying to offer them more option, but not try to rush in through. And then there's a balcony we need to also discuss about whether or not it's legitimate to have a second balcony. That's rare, from the master bedroom. I think that's something I personally I would like to see them come back, and I see it as a pretty fast turnaround that if the staff can accommodate, I think this is maybe a few weeks of a turnaround time. Yeah.
So you would like,
I'm open to other commissioners' input.
okay, but let me just ask the question. Are you open to continuing it with stipulations? Or are you, that we need to move on this. So what are we, who's going to make a motion, and what will it be? Other commissioners, do you have, this is new to you, Chepe and Stuart? Yeah, Chepe?
So I'm with Michael with many of the things that he said. I believe that the architect and the homeowners are almost there. They just need to, I would recommend that they would come up with iteration for the front, something that would bring down a little bit, at least as to Sean's point, what he was saying, to reduce a little bit of the verticality of that corner front tall window, and most of the space on the inside could be at a very high ceiling. I personally like high ceilings, and I really understand it. It's just so it doesn't look like a glass box from the outside, because if you look at 25 feet from the sidewalk, it's right there. It's something that size. So just mitigating that with a little eave, maybe a little wraparound eave in some place with some clear story windows at the top. Right now, at this point, I'm assuming you don't have structural design, so it shouldn't be such a problem. I'm sure you can probably come up with 1 or 2 facade solutions just to propose to the staff. So I would recommend, yes, to move forward with stipulation.
So you moving forward with approval with stipulation, or moving forward for continuance?
Continuous.
Okay, that, David, would you like to make the motion?
Sorry, Chair, before making a motion, what about the balcony? Do we need to get like a consensus on how we're gonna move forward with the balcony?
Well, we can, if we continue it, we can make those stipulations. If we approve it, we can also add some comments, but one is faster than the other.
To the chair, if you do continue it, if you can, and if the applicant agrees, I'd recommend continuing it to a date certain, which doesn't require us to renotice the item if we continue it. It'll be better for at least public noticing for the item. We do have availability on November 2nd. It'll require me to do 3 reports, but I'm happy to do it if they're able to accommodate a November 2nd meeting date. That means they would have to have plans in by next week, by like Tuesday at the latest, so I can write the report, which is due by Thursday.
Okay, let's hear from the architect and the owner. Is that a possibility?
Having plans by next Tuesday is possible, yes. I think we could do that.
Okay,
I just communicated with our client, and there was an earlier design we had with a clear story type roof at the living room where the perimeter was at a lower height and the center was at the 12 foot. And they've indicated that that would be acceptable to them, and that would make the difference that you're asking about on the aesthetics.
well,
We
would it
prefer
be
to have
appropriate to have that be what you propose on your return?
That's a much taller order to get that kind of change by Tuesday. That's 4 days from now. What I was
Okay.
going to ask is if we could condition that upon staff's approval. If we
So I would like to see a not new design, but to physically see it on the plans to see what it looks like, whatever we decide to do, because we've got, a new rendering, because we have 3 or 4 different areas that need to be addressed.
All right, let's go back to who would like to make a motion.
Okay, well, I would suggest we have a discussion on the balcony, whether that side balcony is needed at all, whether we can, I think, from my understanding, listening to everyone, that we, at minimum, all think it's too big.
Okay, but would you like to make a motion to continue it with those stipulations?
To the chair.
Yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt. So just to make the commission aware, it was very common I've been with the city for 10 years. It was very common for quite a long time that the commission conditioned items with faith that the staff would implement them, which we were very successful in implementing them. But as the commission has changed over time, we've moved forward to more of returning them back as a continued item.
Correct, but the applicant has indicated they don't want to do it.
yeah, but let Sean finish. Okay, go ahead, finish, Sean.
So if the applicant is indicating potentially that they have, if they have a design with a 10-foot plate with a clear story at a 12-foot plate that step back a certain minimum height, staff has seen those designs very commonly. Those are a very acceptable and common design that we've seen. And we're more than happy to accommodate that if you would like us to, but of course, we'll do whatever the commission directs us to do, and we'll bring it forward in the next meeting if that's what you'd like.
So that would be, we would then vote for a continuation with those stipulations. Is that correct? And date certain? Sean, is that correct?
No, what I'm saying is you could potentially approve it with conditions.
Okay.
A lot of the items you're addressing regarding the depth of the balcony are relatively minor issues that we can address. The issues of the windows, if you're very specific, we could address. And if it's going to be a design with a 10-foot plate with a clear story step back, then you can provide specific direction on a minimum 1.5 foot setback or whatever that may be from the first floor wall plate of 10 feet. Those are very common designs that we've seen. They're not too complex for us to review those, and those could be conditions that we can make sure at the building phase. We can always potentially circle back with the commission at a later point to allow you to see the design. And we've done that many, many years ago, but it's not as common in the last 4 or 5 years.
Thank you, Sean. So I'm gonna call for a motion to be made. Who would like to make a motion, whether in line with what Sean has said as a approval, or if that's not appropriate, for whoever's going to make the motion for a continuation? Who would like to make a motion?
I would appoint Commissioner Michael. Since he's the more senior in this point.
So I'll move that we to make a motion to approve the project with the condition and have the staff follow the condition and work with the architect and owner applicants to follow those conditions.
Okay, before I ask for a second, Sean, do you need to have the conditions stipulated?
Yes, it's so for success in these type of conditions, there has to be specificity a little bit regarding it. It can also be helpful for the applicant to give some additional information, but we need to make sure that we call out the depth that you want the balcony, the height of the specific windows that you're agreeing to. And if that's an emotion, then that's easy for us to implement so that we make sure that we implement exactly what the commission wants.
Okay, good. So before I ask for a second, let's get those elements into the motion. Okay, do you want to add things that Sean's just mentioned, Michael?
Yes, but I'm not clear about what other commissioners.
Why don't you put yours
Okay,
in
okay,
place?
all right. So I move to approve this project with the condition that the applicant to work with the staff on the following by accepting all the finding and condition, plus for the front, number one, for that the living room, dining room, and family room along the front and left side, starting with the 9'6", lower to 9'6" plate height, and step back in a proportion. I would say into 1-to-1. That means like every foot you recess, you can raise another foot, and up to 12 feet.
Okay,
That's one. And then second, to reduce the balcony to 6 foot. I would say, to say 12 foot wide by 6 foot deep for the rear balcony.
okay,
And narrow the side balcony to be aligned with the wall. Looks like about 4 feet deep, instead of let's say right now it's looks like 7 foot deep, and
Okay.
to about, let's say 10 foot wide
all
for the
right.
second balcony.
Sean, do you have both of those?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
And then for the window, number 3, for the window, for the one on the right front corner, raise the, let me see what bedroom, sorry. Yes.
Bedroom number 3 is the front right corner.
Numbers, I would say I'm fine with the bedroom 3 corner to keep the what's currently shown, but raise the sill for bedroom number 2 on the side window 1.2 to a high sill, 4'6" sill.
Okay.
And I'm fine with the rear corner, the 2 side window of the master bedroom and study. I'm fine with the current sill.
okay. So, Michael, do you have any more stipulations?
No, that's all. Anyone want to add another
Thank
one?
you. Well, I was
Another
gonna,
addition?
David, do you have additional stipulations?
No, I'm just wondering, I'm a little confused on what the condition was for the decks. So the master bathroom deck is 4.6 wide by 6 feet deep.
Sean?
So what was stated was to accept the findings, conditions, front and left side lower to 9'6" plate, step back to a 1-to-1 proportion, reduce the balcony to 12 foot wide by 6 foot deep, narrow the side balcony to be aligned with the wall 4 foot deep by 10 foot deep, raise bedroom number 2 sill to a minimum 4'6" sill height.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks. Michael, okay. Michael, David, you're okay with those two?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay, Pepe,
No,
you're good? Okay, Stuart? All right, I need a second.
One small item, if I could, on the bedroom 2, we can only raise the side
wait.
windows.
No,
I'm sorry.
no. Do I have a second? I need a second to the motion. We can't go forward without a second.
Well, we could have a different motion.
We can, but we still have to have a second to even
Correct.
take a vote. So is there a second to this motion?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Stuart. All right, now I'll have the roll call. Okay, Michael,
Aye.
David,
No,
Chepe,
Aye.
Stuart,
No,
Sam, I. Carries 3-2. Do you have everything that you need, Sean, in that, in the stipulations?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you very much for owners and others who have been part of this meeting. We hope this will move it forward and help you keep within the timeline that you're looking for. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. We sincerely appreciate it.
All right, let's move
Thank you,
on
Peter.
to our next item. Item number 4. This is Steve. Yeah. Steve, it's your item.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Harding. I'm Steve Golden, Senior Planner. The item, let me get my slide up here. Can you see the screen?
yes.
Okay, thanks. I apologize. I'm coming off a cold, so I'm a little congested. But this item before you is an application for design review. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing single-story residence, the detached garage, accessory structures, and pool, and construct a new 5,135 square foot, 2-story single-family residence. It does have an attached 848 square foot ADU in the plan, and that is not part of the 5,135 square feet, and it's also not subject to the design review. The subject property is located on the southeast corner of Arboretum Drive and Aspen Drive, and Aspen Way as it changes names. The entry into the subdivision from Foothill Expressway is identified as Woodland Acres, which is a great name for this area and a great description because it is a neighborhood full of half-acre to acre lots, and it's very heavily wooded. The neighborhood has a variety of these half-acre to acre sized lots. They're characterized by the curvilinear and cul-de-sac street layout. This area of South Los Altos is in the kind of more hilly area of the city. So most of the lots are either above the street or below the street, just depending on where the lot lies. In this case, the subject property, the elevation of the subject property is above the street. And moving on, this is a more detailed layout of the lot with the surrounding properties, showing that there are mostly 2-story residences in this area, but there's also 1-story residences. Also to note, because of the heavily wooded areas, a lot of mature landscaping along the street, the changes in elevation, most of the houses are not very visible from any of the public streets. Some of them have partial visibility and some of them are just completely blocked by various features. So given all of these physical characteristics of this neighborhood, staff did determine that the immediate neighborhood is best defined as a diverse character neighborhood according to the city's residential design guidelines. This is up on the screen is the proposed site plan. The footprint of the new residence is shown, which consists of the first story of 3,518 square feet, which does include the garage. Again, there is an additional 848 square foot attached ADU on the first story. And then the second story, which is the hatched area, is 1,617 square feet. And then also be aware that north on this slide is oriented to the left side. And while the front door of the residence is oriented to the west, or Arboretum Drive, technically the front of the lot is Aspen Drive. The zoning code does allow on a corner lot, if the corner lot meets the minimum width and depth in both directions, then the applicant can choose what the front property line is. So again, as labeled here, the front, technically the front is Aspen Drive, but the front door is off of Arboretum, which is the exterior side. And then given that the front is Aspen Drive, there's a proposed 33.2 foot setback where 30 feet is the minimum. Again, this is slightly different zoning district than what the commission typically sees. It's a R120, so the setbacks vary from the R110, which the commission typically sees. So front setback minimum is 30 feet. Opposite of that, on the rear, the proposal is a 35.5 foot setback. And that meets the minimum, which is a 35 foot setback. And then with regards to the side yard setback, the interior side has a 20 foot first story and a 25 foot second story, which this far exceeds, and the 25 foot exterior side yard setback with Arboretum Drive, again, the proposal far exceeds that, and all of those figures are shown on the table in this slide. Also to note, indicated by the red arrow on this slide is a balcony, second story balcony, which is 40 feet 8 inches from the closest property line, which is that interior side property line. Moving on, this is the front elevation on, I'll call it the front facade, just to not to confuse you too much, but the front facade or west elevation is on the lower portion of the slide. The east elevation or the rear portion of the building rear facade is on the top portion of the slide. The proposed residence is a contemporary modern design, mostly flat roof forms. It's accented with sloping roof forms at the front and rear elevations. The design of the structure does have a lot of articulation throughout the first and second stories, which does break down a lot of the massing into smaller elements. The majority of the exterior material is stucco. However, there is horizontal wood shiplap siding, which accents at the front and the side elevation, again, breaking down the mass into smaller elements. Overall, the maximum height of the structure is 25.2 feet, which does comply with a maximum height of 27 feet. With regards to the wall plate heights, there's a variety of wall plate heights at the first and second story. Just to name a few, along the first story is a 10 foot, a 14 foot, a 15 foot. The second story has mostly 9 foot and 11 foot wall plate heights. And even though that this isn't a diverse character neighborhood and complies with the objective design standards, staff does recommend to reduce the wall plate heights of this proposed residence to reduce some of the bulkiness of the structure and better fit within the neighborhood that's in. Again, because of this, the change in elevation, the footprint of this building does sit very prominent on the site. So the scale of the house does look more massive looking because it's much higher up than at street elevation. So again, to reduce the bulkiness and the scale of the residence, staff is recommending a condition of approval to reduce the wall plate heights at both the first and second story. in order to support positive design review findings and in conformance with the single-family residential design guidelines. We're recommending at least a 1 foot reduction in plate heights, again, both at the first and second story. We did convey this to the applicant, and they still wanted to press forward with this design. With regards to potential privacy impacts, again, as what was just discussed in the last item, Commission is usually more concerned with the second story windows, viewing into neighboring properties and whether those views create unreasonable privacy impacts. And this particular slide, the east elevation, even though it's the rear of the building, it is the side interior side facing. It does have setbacks that are 40 to 56 feet from the property line. So that does moderate those views into the abutting property. And just going from the right side, that smallest window is in the stairwell. It appears to be more of a clear story window because of the landing of the stairwell area. So again, less of a concern there. The smallest window, or sorry, on the left-hand side is the master bedroom window. It has a 3 foot sill height from the finished floor. And then also visible on this elevation is the proposed second story balcony, which is again identified by the red arrow. It's accessed through a sliding glass door. And it is, the depth of it is 8.5 feet. And we already covered in the last item, but typically for a more passive design, the design guidelines states that a 4 foot depth balcony is more reasonable for more passive use. But in this particular situation, staff is less concerned with the potential privacy impacts of the balcony because, again, it is over 40 feet from the side property line. It's mostly recessed back. So it's not a projecting balcony, it's mostly recessed back into the building. And there is a solid railing in the front, which helps moderate some of those direct views into the neighboring property. So given the setbacks and overall design, again, staff is less concerned with the potential privacy impacts of this balcony, as well as the views from the second story windows on this elevation. Moving forward, the south elevation on the top portion of this slide, that is technically the rear, and it's an interior facing though, and there are 3 windows there. They have a sill height of approximately 3 feet from the finished floor area, and they're set back approximately 45 to 48 feet from the rear property line. 2 of the windows on the right-hand side are in the master bedroom, and the other window to the left is in the master bathroom above the proposed tub. We discussed the sill heights. Typically, the Design Review Commission would like to see a 4.5 foot sill height for those second story windows, but given the distance to the property line, the existing and proposed landscaping, the staff doesn't think there's unreasonable privacy impacts to the abutting neighbors, and the neighbors didn't come forward with any concerns. But even given that, staff thinks architects should consider raising the windows slightly just to protect the privacy of the owner themselves. You can also see, again, identified by the red arrow, the little portion of the balcony, that second story deck that projects outwards, and it has a solid railing in front of it. The north elevation is the elevation that is facing Aspen Drive. So we're less concerned with at least the privacy impacts of those windows. With regards to the trees on the property, there are a total of 48 on-site trees or within the public right-of-way abutting the property. A total of 16 trees are going to be proposed to be removed, as indicated by the X through the tree and also circled on the slide. One of those trees proposed to be removed, circled in red, is considered a protected tree pursuant to the tree protection regulations of the city because it's more than 48 inches in circumference. However, the tree is dead, so they're proposing to remove that tree. There's 9 Monterey cypress trees along the property line, that interior side yard setback property line, which is on the top portion of the slide. All those trees are in fairly poor condition due to drought stress, but the applicant is proposing to replace them with 11 Podocarpus evergreen privacy screening shrubs, which is more appropriate along the property line. And then most of the other trees on this property are being removed either because of their poor condition or because they're in conflict with construction of the residents or other site improvements, and they're smaller trees and not protected by the ordinance regardless. This is the proposed landscape plan and incorporates the trees that are going to remain on the property. There's additional Podocarpus privacy screening that will be planted along the south property line in addition to the east property line. And then there will be abundance of other shrubs, ground covers, and hardscape and softscape features that have been incorporated into the landscape plan, as you can see on the slide. And just in general, the existing trees and proposed landscaping does assist in buffering the views from the street and helps to keep this property kind of conforming to the neighborhood, which has a lot of mature landscaping in general throughout that neighborhood. This is just, it was provided in the design plan set. It gives you different 3D perspectives from different views on the property. As you can kind of see, the building is sitting above the street below. And just to highlight that the applicant did send out letters to 8 of the neighbors in the immediate area. We did receive 1 public correspondence, was received by staff. However, there's been communications between the applicant and neighbor. A lot of the issues were not particularly design related, so more civil related issues. So we did not include it in the packet, but we did want to make you aware of that. So staff's recommendation is to approve design review application subject to the listed findings and conditions, which does incorporate that specific condition about reducing the first and second story wall plate heights by at least 1 foot. And with that, that concludes my presentation, and I can answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Steve. Commissioners, questions for Steve? Michael?
Yeah, Steve, I have a nice presentation. I have one quick question. There's a game room on the ground floor on the try to figure out on the Espen Drive on that side, the corner, the interior corner. What's the play height of that one? Because I'm trying to find. Well, I can also ask the architect if you know, because on SSK 3.1 on the north elevation, or the left side on the west elevation, I think that's a game room, and it looks like pretty fairly tall plate, especially from the finished grade.
Yeah,
and I see.
It does. There is a little bit of a step foundation there. So the finished floor steps down about 1 foot, but the overall, the plate height, I believe was, I want to say that was about 15 feet. I should note that we did discuss, and it is covered in the design guidelines, stepping foundations on slope properties. And we did discuss that, or I discussed that with the applicant to try to lower that more because it's on the downslope side. And that was a discussion that we had, but it was only about a 1 foot reduction in the finished floor area of that. But I'll defer to the architect to give you the specific plate height.
Okay, so one more question related to this one. So you're on your condition, you also, I know you generally you want the all the plate height to be lower by 1 foot. Is that 1 foot also applicable to this one, or you think that should be more on this one?
Well, I think proportionally, if it was reduced by at least a foot all around, I think just overall the scale of the residence itself, it's a little bit overscaled and
Okay,
can
I'm
be
good.
brought down.
Okay, please continue. If you're, please mute anyone else that's on the
Yeah.
Zoom meeting. Go ahead, Sean or Steve.
So to answer your question, we didn't ask for any specific additional reduction for that area. It is kind of a unique property, unique residence, so some variation could be acceptable in this situation.
Okay, all right, thanks, Steve.
Okay, Michael. All right, David.
Yeah, my only question for Sean was answered, that whether there was a discussion about having a step down for the game room area for that side of the property. If there was a discussion, it sounds like there was.
Okay, thank you. Stuart, are you still with us?
Still with you, and no questions. It was very clear
All right.
presentation.
Okay. Thank you. Chepe? Questions for
There,
staff?
just one question. The shiplap, the shiplap is supposed to be white. Is that correct? Shiplap siding proposed on the cover sheet.
I don't recall. I could pull up I think there was a materials board. I don't recall
I couldn't see it,
the
though.
specific color. Obviously, this is just in black and white, so.
Okay, I could ask the architect.
Yeah, I'll look while they're giving their presentation as well for the.
Exactly. So I
Okay.
can wait. I can
Okay,
wait.
thanks, Chepe.
You're
All
welcome.
right, 10 minutes for the architect and the owner.
Hi, good evening. My name is Eric Kane.
Cannot hear you. Cannot hear you.
Hello?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
It's very muted, Eric.
No,
Yeah,
You switch microphones. Yeah, he's muted now.
okay. D-Lap cannot hear you either. Oh, there you go. Are you
It
the owner?
keeps- Eric King, who's D-Lap, he's the architect and applicant.
Okay,
And it looks like he's,
he's unmuted now.
yeah.
D-Lap, are you ready to have 10 minutes to talk about the project? Okay, proceed. Timer, start your engine.
I think he's, Eric, we can't hear you if you're speaking.
He's still
So
mute. Yeah.
yeah, perhaps maybe change your microphone. You can, next to the mic icon on the bottom left, there's a little arrow.
okay.
You can maybe select a different microphone. That might help. If you click on the little up arrow next to that mic icon, there's a select a microphone setting. No,
No luck yet?
no.
I'll
I
switch
can-
the computer so I can.
So maybe it's just low volume. I can hear his voice.
Yeah,
but-
it's,
You did? Okay.
It's very low. If you shout really loud.
Maybe if he unplugs his headset, I think his headset is interfering with his default mic
Can you unplug your headset?
to test it out.
Because we
Nothing.
cannot hear you.
Does that help?
Unplug your headset. Take your headset off.
Well, he may not have any other
It's not gonna
microphone.
work.
Do you have another microphone?
There's also
A phone
a
tapping.
phone, yeah.
And is he the only, he's the only person for the owner and architect? He is one and the same?
He is not the owner. Didn't have any contact with the owner on this project, so
Okay.
we'll just give Eric a moment here.
Yeah, the dial-in option with the phone is always.
Yeah, Eric,
is always-
if you can hear us, you can also dial in. I don't know if you can hear us at all anymore.
Perhaps we can delay this, Sean, and move to the next item and hope that in the interim, he can get his microphone working. Is that a possibility? Steve or Sean, are you?
I am here. Yes.
Okay, can we, is it possible to move to the next item and then come back when maybe he's got his,
It's possible. Steve, would you like for us to go to the next item?
I was just gonna say it to answer, well, he's working on that, to answer Commissioner Mantiga's question about the siding color. This was the materials board as attachment E in the packet that was provided fairly early on in the process. So these were the colors that were proposed.
okay,
So the renderings are not showing those colors.
all right. Steve,
Mhm.
I don't think we still have communications with.
Thank you, Sean.
With the owner or architect. So my question is, can we ask them to pause their attempt to get communication and go on to our next item?
I believe we could kind of move our agenda items around and come back to this
Okay,
to give them the opportunity to make their own statement.
yes. But
Um,
does anyone have communication with him?
So can you hear me now?
oh, yes. Yes.
Yes.
Right at
Are
the last.
you coming to us?
Lou, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you
Good,
hear
we don't-
us?
Okay, you're on. You have another 10 minutes.
Eric, are you ready?
Can see his head. Can he hear me? Eric, can you hear me?
Hey, Eric, can you hear us? I don't know. No, he's trying to plug in again.
Eric.
Last
yeah.
attempt.
Yes, now it's always all the time. Now it works.
This is Chair Harding speaking. Are you with us?
No, I'm on switch a computer. Yes.
Okay,
I'm
but
on.
are you with us? Are you
Yes.
ready to have your 10
Yes.
minutes?
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay. Sorry if everyone wasted everyone's time. My name is Eric Kane, architect for this project. I think Steve made a very good presentation. Not much I need to say, just for the plate height issue. I believe all the commissioners went to the job site and realized this is a hillside, but pretty much the existing existing houses on the plateau, which is on the fairly flat within 1 foot about variation. And so the design pretty much take that character and still consider a flat house rather than step within the house. And the front, because owner has a special needs, they need a golf practice room. That's why we make a little higher ceiling and put it on that corner. And there's a 13-foot plate height. Then we drop a foot to gain the 14-foot overall ceiling height. And also I talked to the two adjacent neighbors, what they're concerned, mostly the privacy. So I recommend the privacy and the noise. So I recommend the backyard portion, we do a concrete masonry wall. So that will block the noise. And also with the, actually I went to their site from our new design second floor, all we can see is their roof with the wall and the trees, hardly see anything on the Aspen neighbors. And the other side, on the Alboranta neighbors, I actually went to their back site. They recommend to put in 2 big trees between the 4 existing trees. With those 2 trees, hardly do you see anything between the 2 lots. That's why I think the privacy should not be a concern. And the backyard noise, because the way that we designed the backyard, possibly there's some noise. That's why I recommend putting the CMU solid wall to block the noise on up to 6 feet. And also the neighbor concerned the parking issue on the Aspen. As far as I know, the owner doesn't have any intention to rent the ADU out. Mainly is for the parents coming from China. Probably 2 to 3 months a year using the ADU, and the rest of the time mostly will be vacant or uses his private office. That's the condition, and they only have 1 child, which is already in the college. Hardly any teenager party in the backyard. That's what I can see. Maybe some adults, but they're probably not going to make that much noise. This is the mainly to respond to neighbors' requests. On the design itself, because the condition, because the trees, I don't think the plate height or the overall building mass is that much, but with the 3D presentation, maybe there is. And with the clear story design, if we lower the plate height, of course it's doable, but that window appearance will be a little different. So probably do a little higher headers and just combine the windows become one piece. But physically definitely can be reduced a few inches on both floors.
All right, is that your presentation?
To answer one question, the fascia board, we have a light gray color. I mean, the wood siding is a light gray color. It's little, very close color to the stucco, slightly darker than the stucco.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Is that, do you have?
Yeah, that concludes my
That's it.
presentation.
Okay. Commissioners, questions for the architect? Okay, Stuart, why don't you
Yeah.
start? Or Stuart?
Yeah, no questions here.
Okay, David?
Yeah, I just have a question on the Aspen side where the game room is. What were the discussions in regards to having that a step down versus what you have right now, because that space is awfully large.
We can try to step down more because the operation of that golf equipment, we need to provide more steps going down. So it probably need to increase the size, the length slightly so we can step down more. But the owner prefer not to have too many steps inside. But definitely can consider drop another 4 to 2 and lower the ceiling 1 or 2, just still maintain the inside minimum clearance, but accomplish a smaller mass on the building. And the section you can see definitely is doable. It's not related to any other interior space.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, David. Let's say Chepe, why don't you go next?
Sorry, I'm having connection trouble. Let me see.
Okay, want me to come back to you?
It looks like it's stable now.
Okay.
No, just I drove by the site, and yes, the plateau of the house is pretty high. So just seeing that the roof is flat and it's basically unvisible from any of the 2 streets surrounding it. So no, just in any design on the eave material. Are you considering?
Go ahead.
Yeah, are you considering some kind of a warm element, or is it going to be either the color of the fascia or the color of the house?
It's a different color. It's a darker color on the fascia board.
Yeah, because that's basically the only roof line you're going to see from the street.
Right. Right. So because it's a white building, light color building, it was a darker trim, it looks better and also make the volumes a little smaller and lower.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Michael, your turn.
Okay, Eric, let's see. Yeah, I think Chape asked about the eve detail. Do you have a window detail and material? What kind of window material and detail? Do you have that?
I don't have a window detail. This is, even though it's a contemporary building, but the window pretty straightforward. We try to step back 2 inches with to create a little depth, but there's no window trim. That's it. And then we try to use the Sierra Pacific contemporary style windows. And
what kind of window material? Is it aluminum clad or vinyl or
aluminum clad?
Okay. And then I have one design question. I know this looks like a contemporary house to me. And on the front facade, you have a pitch roof at some small area. And then the rest is all flat roof. I mean, why don't you, I mean, I'm just curious, why don't you just use all flat roof? You're gonna make, stay with the content, more consistent with contemporary. Why you want to keep that small area of shed roof?
Okay, there are 2 reasons. First of all, you look at the rear elevation, which is the next page. We have a high ceiling area, which is the slope roof. In order to carry from the 2nd floor down, instead of making, because the stairs, they want to see from the stairs down to the ground floor. That's why we create the slopes roof to reflect that, and also create more interesting. If you look at the south elevation, that's why I make the garage half slope roof to reflect that. And second, make the south elevation a little more interesting instead of all flat. Just that's the 2 reasons.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's all I had. Thanks, Eric.
Okay, thank you. All right, I have no comments. I like the project. Let's go to public comments. Sean, do you see any people ready to speak on item number 3?
This is item 4, but if there's any member of the public who would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand. If you cannot raise your hand, then please unmute yourself and provide your name, providing your unmuted themselves. So it appears we have no one who wishes to speak on.
All right, thank you. With that, we'll close the public comments. And no rebuttals needed. And let's move to our DRC discussion. Why don't you go first, Stuart? I know you're gonna leave in a few minutes.
Thank you. I think it's a very nice project and appropriate for the site. And I feel a little bit like if a tree falls in the forest, but nobody hears it, did it make a noise? Yes, it's a little bit high, but it's so well screened with landscaping and so far away from the other houses because of the corner location that I think it would be okay as is. But if the architect and owner are willing to work with the city to bring it down a foot, I think that would be terrific too. So.
Okay, thank you. Chippe?
No
questions?
comments. No comments. I think it's a nice project. Really depends on where it's sitting and where it's sitting. It's just kind of makes sense. I mean, it's a tall house. It's a 2-story house at the top of a hill looking directly up. I don't have concerns with the design much.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
I agree mostly with the other commissioner and also the staff recommendation. Dropping that this is some concern about the messing and bulkiness. So dropping the entire house 1 foot, I think that's reasonable. I mean, we also talk about that game room, which is raised, try to be close to the house finished floor. But since that's a corner, that's a very obvious corner from that intersection. So, I mean, personally, I would like to see if they want a taller ceiling, they could have just drop that finished floor a couple more feet or another foot or a couple of feet. That will achieve, the high ceiling. So without the tall element right at the corner, I think that corner is visible. I know the front is well screened by the existing tree. And then, I would like to see, some window and eave detail shown on the plan, for planning approval. I think that we can have the staff work with the applicant on that, those two items. Other than that, then I'm in favor of the project.
All right, thank you. Let's see, David, you're up.
Yeah, I like the project. I do think it is too tall. I think it's bulky. The area specifically, the playroom on the left side. I would go a step further than what staff recommended, and I'm just throwing numbers out here. But on the first side, first floor where the game room is, drop it a couple of feet, and then also increase the landscaping right in that corner to further alleviate just, it's the most prominent corner on it, given, it's still probably 30 feet above grade from where the street is. And then I would, in the family room in the back, also drop it from 15 to 12. But again, I'm not an architect. I'm just thinking aesthetically to make it less bulky. And then in the bedroom areas upstairs, drop it to 9 feet or 9.5 feet. Other than that, I think, the house is fine. Looks good in the neighborhood. The house is there. It's got probably some pretty cool history to it, but I think it's probably got $1 gazillion worth of termite damage, throughout.
Brick, lots of brickwork there. Okay, Michael.
Yeah.
Do you have any comment?
Yeah, I already did my comment. You want me to? I can move.
Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. So move to approve item number 4 SC, item number SC 21-0029 for 5633 Arboretum Drive. by accepting all the findings and condition, plus drop additional 1 foot plate height for the game room. And the applicant can lower the finished floor internally to achieve his height, but on the plate height, we want to lower it by additional 1 foot on top of the conditions and findings. And also would like to have the staff look over the, have a require a typical window detail material and detail.
Okay, all right. So that's a motion.
Can I just ask, Chair, with Commissioner Ma's motion, he mentioned reducing the plate height, but then also reducing the finished floor. Are those two separate issues, or are you talking about reducing just the wall height overall? You know,
Michael?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't make it clear. If you look at Steve, if you maybe it's clear. If you look at take one section, SK, let's say SK 4.2, that section BB.
yeah.
So see, if the applicant lower that finished floor for the game room, from the outside, it doesn't make any difference. But so he can lower a foot or 2 feet. It's up to his choice. But from us, we would like to see the plate height lower 1 additional foot, other on top of your conditions. Let's say your condition is lower all the plate height by 1 foot, right?
Sure.
And then we want this game room lower another additional 1 foot on the plate height.
Okay, because
But as far
he
as
could potentially lower the finished floor by say 2 feet, but keep the plate height still at 13 feet to kind of get.
Oh, I see what you mean.
look.
Yeah,
But
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so I was just trying to figure out if you wanted to reduce that wall height in its entirety, or just the ultimate height of it, just kind of bring it down.
Say where's the? I'm trying to see a reference point.
I think Eric was waving his hand, so maybe he has
Yeah,
a
so Eric,
suggestion.
you want to comment?
I just want to make clear because overall, my understanding overall, we lower the building 1 foot in bulk throughout. Then on the game room, we lower another foot on the plate. Then on the floor, it's my design to drop 1 or 2 or 3, whatever, to create a necessary interior space. So overall, the game room plate drop 2 feet from current, and the rest of the house drop 1 foot, either on first floor, second floor, spread out. Then I would decide how to evenly divide those plate height drop. The overall, the building bulk will drop 1 foot.
Yeah, that's what makes sense to me as well.
Okay, Michael, do you agree with those criteria?
No, I was gonna have the game room drop. Let's say from where it is right now, drop 2 feet on the plate height. But I want to leave the finished floor open to the applicant, because finished floor, if you see that corner, that doesn't matter how low, if he can lower 1 or 2 feet, or even 3 feet, or even into the as a partial basement, I don't really care. From the outside, it still look the same for us. Doesn't matter where the finished floor for that the game room is. You see what I mean?
Yeah, Eric, what do you think?
I think we're saying the same thing. It's the overall drop 1 foot and the game room drop additional foot on the plate.
Yes. Yeah,
All right.
and then you can lower the floor whatever
Yes.
you want from the internally. On the outside, we don't see it because
Yes,
it just lower the cross space,
correct.
reduce the cross space. Yeah.
All right,
Correct.
so Sean or Steve, do you have that?
Yeah.
Okay, do
Okay.
I have a second?
I'll second it.
Who seconded it?
I'll second it.
Okay. Stuart, I saw a couple hands. Stuart, you got the second. All right, have a vote. Stuart,
Aye.
Jeppe,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Sam, aye. It passes. Thank you very much, commissioners and applicant. Eric, good luck on the project.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Welcome.
Sorry for the confusion on the microphone.
Okay, and thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
your
Eric.
technology getting back online.
Oh,
Stuart,
that, okay.
I'm signing off as
Depart.
well. So thank you, commissioners.
Have a good trip, Stuart.
Thank you. And thank you.
so,
Dan.
Fly safe.
make a note that Commissioner Stuart Klein, Stuart Klein has left the meeting, so we still have a 4 members, and we have moving on to our next item, which is
Chair, sorry. Should we check a 3-5 minutes break? Since
Okay.
we still, what do you think?
3 minutes. Do whatever you need.
It's a long night.
3 minutes.
Okay, all right.
Oh my God, that's a long meeting. I'm gonna have to nod it.
All right, Michael, I see you're back.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. Hi, Jai, you're up. You're gonna be up in just a minute here.
Sure.
Let's get 2 more back at least.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I don't know if we have everyone back yet, Jai, so hold on.
Mhm.
Your screen just went over to your computer.
Yeah, just get this ready. So let me know when.
Well, I can't, you have my screen too, so I can't see who's,
Oh, sorry. Let me stop sharing.
there we go. Hi. Okay, there's Viv,
I see everybody except for Commissioner Blockus.
Jeppe, and David, are you there? You're muted, but I don't see your picture. David, you're there.
Yep. I'm back.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, Jai, please proceed with item number 5. 1370 Ensenada Way.
Okay, so hi, Chair Harding and Commissioners. This is Javale, Associate Planner. Before you, I'm presenting a design review application SC22-0012 for residential additions to existing single-family house at 1370 Ensenada Way. The project scope consists of 126 square foot addition at the first story and 806 square foot addition at the second story. A conversion of a 588 square foot attached ADU from existing house at the first story is also included, but not part of the design review. For new commissioners reference, because ADU project now is ministerial only by the state law, so any ADUs will not be part of the commissioner's discussion. And other scope includes exterior modification for new entry and garage doors and replacement of roofing materials from metal to composition shingle. The rendering on this slide provides the new appearance of the house viewing from the street for the commissioner's reference. The subject property is located on south side of Ensenada Way between Juarez Avenue and Grant Road. Rear adjacent properties are fronting Dunkirk Court. Per the city's residential design guidelines, the surrounding neighborhood is considered as a diverse character neighborhood. The homes in the neighborhood are a combination of one-story and two-story homes, with 4 two-story homes in the immediate context. Properties on Ensenada Way and Juarez Avenue share similar front setback patterns, but present a varying streetscape due to different architectural styles and distinct play heights. Residence homes with no or very minimal exterior improvements over the year remain a traditional ranch style with lower play height as compared to the residences that have been upgraded over the years that feature moderate play height. Such differences can also be observed from the provided streetscape diagram at the bottom right on the slide. The slide provides the project site plan to the right and the zoning compliance table to the left. The first story additions are located facing the front yard in this gray color, and the second story addition is highlighted in green for your reference, as you can find that the proposed second story addition will be located further down close to the rear half of the lot. This is the proposed first floor plan. The first story will include 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, living area, kitchen, and a dining area. For your reference, the ADU conversion is located to the upper right that is hashed on this first floor plan. This is upper floor plan. The second story will include 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and other habitable room functions. The slide provides the proposed front elevation at the bottom compared to the existing front elevation on top. Per staff's assessment, the proposed addition at the second floor will be recessed from the front wall plane of the first story and has a symmetrical massing design. The addition will maintain an appropriate scale that will not deviate much from the existing house appearance. The residence is designed with a lower wall plate height, that is 8-foot plate height throughout the first story, and a predominant 7-foot and 3-inch plate height at the second story, except for a rear-facing gym room that will have a 9-foot plate height. Furthermore, the main 2.5 in 12 hip roof is designed to integrate the first and second roof lines that will contribute to the low profile massing. For the materials, the project is utilizing high quality materials such as composition, shingle roof material, cement plaster with horizontal wood siding as accent, aluminum clad windows with wood door trims, which are found integrated into the overall architectural design and compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. The slides provide the side elevations. On the top, it is the right west side elevation. It had at the 2-story, it has a 3-panel large size window with a 4-foot and 9-inch window sill height. And at the bottom is the left east side elevation, and there's no second window proposed. Staff does not consider the proposed 2nd-story addition would have unreasonable privacy impact because the window numbers and the sill height at the 2nd-story are limited and should not result in really any privacy impact. Along the rear 2nd-story elevation, 3 windows are proposed, including 2 medium-sized 2-panel windows with 3-foot and 2-inch window sill height, and 1 large size 3-panel window with 2-foot sill height. Given that the setback from the rear property line to this rear elevation is about 41 feet, and with its existing screening vegetation, the privacy impact to the neighboring property facing the rear is also found mitigated. With regard to the plants on site, there are 11 existing trees greater than 4 inches in diameter on the project site. And there are also a variety of shrubs, including evergreen screening vegetation along the property line. The applicant is proposed to retain all the plants on site in addition to a 4-inch tree that is located in the public right-of-way. A condition is added in the staff report to require the applicant to obtain the approval from Public Works since the tree is in the street before the commencement of the removal. The details of the screening vegetation are provided in the existing screening plan on sheet AS-102, and also a summary table is also added to the slide to this upper left corner. And this is the materials board, which staff had presented in the previous slide. And lastly, for community outreach, the owner reached out to the neighbors in May this year. The outreach letter and neighbors' correspondence are provided in attachment D of the agenda report for commissioners' reference. The applicant has also installed a billboard early in the process for the community's information. So with all the presented information, staff now recommends the Design Review Commission approve the application SC 22-0012, subject to the listed findings. So staff now concludes the presentation and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Jai. I just wanted to, on my visit, the owner mentioned that on the listing in our minutes, it says 2-story addition to an existing 2-story, and we know it was not a 2-story,
Yeah,
1-story. So
yeah.
I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. Thank you. The questions from commissioners to staff. Michael.
None.
Okay. Chepe.
No, pretty straightforward.
Hey.
None.
All right. Sorry, David.
Yeah, no, I don't have any.
No questions. All right. I don't either. All right, let's proceed with the 10 minutes for the owner architect. Start the clock.
Hi, I'm Bill McIntosh. I'm the architect with Duxbury McIntosh Architects. So we were approached by the current owners of the house. We designed this house, or at least the remodel of this house back in 2011 for a different client. And the current owners, Parthiv and Kajal Patel, they loved the house, and it was a big compliment for them to call us back. So, but they needed some more space, after the pandemic and working from home and so forth. So I'll let them present their motivations for the project real quick, and then I can go into our design strategy and try and keep it quick. So,
Okay, thank you. All right.
I think Parthiv is here somewhere.
I can see them, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, this is Kajal and this is Parthiv.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
dear Design Review Commission team members. Thank you for staying up so late and thank you for helping us review this project. We are living here in this home for about 9 years with our 10-year-old daughter, who's now 10 years old, Simone. Love the neighborhood. We're a small family. We love living in this warm, friendly neighborhood, which is very supportive, and it's extremely important to us to be continuing to live here. Through the pandemic, amongst many challenges, we found ourselves incredibly lucky to be living here and have the opportunity to connect with our neighbors. Most our daughter built extremely close friendships with the kids on the block. And through the pandemic, we were able to work from home, but we also realized that this is continuing to be the new norm. And we do get to spend good time with our family, but this home does have its own limitations. And in fact, we realized we need more space. So we actually have, we both work from home and need more an offices for ourselves. Our parents do visit and do spend extended amount of time with us. So we were thinking of to add an ADU to this existing home. We were lucky to connect with Bill and his team to help us kind of remodel this home. They have worked on this project back in 2011. So we figured this would be a great opportunity to connect back with them and see if they can help us build and give us more space. We have discussed this plan with our neighbors. They have been very supportive. We had the open house and we also incorporate the changes they recommended. So our neighbors have been a part of this too, and they have been supportive of our plans. We look forward to getting an approval for our project, and so we can promptly move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Comments? No, Bill, anything?
Yeah, so, basically, since they love the house and they said, Kajal said that she didn't want to disrupt the great room. And so, the previous clients had a daughter with special needs. So the floor plan was a little bit unusual in certain ways. So we're trying to kind of give them some of that space back, a room for their daughter and, so forth, and having an extra bedroom as opposed to some open office space. The trick was to preserve that center room. So you can see how we wrapped the second floor around that center room, kept integrated it with the existing roof. And we had to keep our plate heights low because of the daylight plane. But for a bedroom, we're gonna do some tray ceilings in there, and we think it should be fine. But we do get that one nicer room in the center, which overlooks the yard, which is quite beautiful. It's well planted and screened. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell. I mean, I'll yield the time and take any questions that you guys have.
Okay, thank you. Chepe, would you like to ask questions?
Sure. I know what it would, I can identify with being tied into a location, especially when you've lived there for a while. And it makes total sense to add a little bit more space to the house that you don't want to leave. And ADUs make total sense, are super practical. And I really like this project.
Okay, thank you. David?
Yeah, I have no questions for the applicant.
Okay, Michael?
No, none, no question.
I have no questions either. Okay, do we have, Sean, comments from the public?
See, 1 second. If there are any members of the public who'd like to speak on the item, please raise your hand. Currently, there are no raised hands. If anybody would like to raise their hand, if they can't raise their hand, please unmute yourself. Provide us your name. Providing your name is optional. We have no one who's raised their hand. Nobody has unmuted themselves. Appears we have no one who wishes to speak on the item.
Okay, we'll close the public comments and move to commissioners' comments. Okay. Chepe, why don't you lead off?
I believe the solution is really well balanced out. I like what the addition does to all four sides of the house and to the property as well. I recommend moving forward with this project.
Okay, David?
Yeah, I like the house as it is. When I got there, I thought it was a beautiful home, and I think this will be even better. Great backyard. The only thing I'd throw out there is, maybe the second story in the back, having a little pergola or something to cover that area so you don't get sun hitting you, but I fully support the project.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
Yeah, pretty much the same without a commissioner. It's a well-designed balance, and the addition makes very good sense in design-wise. And then the privacy, there are all these mature trees in the backyard and side yard, for privacy screening on the second floor. So I'm in favor of the project.
Thank you. I'm in favor also. Do we have a motion?
Aye.
Okay, Chip A?
No. I don't want to lead the motion.
Yeah, I'll go. I
Okay,
recommend
David.
approve SC 22-0012 at the property at 1370 Ensenada Way with the conditions and findings in the report.
Good. Second?
I second it.
Okay, Chip A is second. All right, let's take a vote. Chip A?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Myself, aye. 4-0, it passes. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Jacques.
Okay, Jai can't go away because she's got the next one as well. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you so
Jai,
much.
would you take us to item number 6, please?
Sure, my pleasure for the last item tonight. This is Jia Liu again, Design Review Commissioners. I'm going to present another design review application SC22-0006 for the construction of a new two-story house at 240 Alta Vista Avenue. The project scope consists of 4,220 square foot floor area at the first story and 1,648 square foot floor area at the second story. There will also be a basement of 2,437 square feet, of which 560 square foot space counts towards the floor area ratio due to the hillside topo and the not to basement per the definition of the zoning code. The rendering on this slide shows the new house perspective viewing from the Alta Vista Avenue. The subject property is located on the west side of the intersection of Alta Vista Avenue and Chamiso Avenue. Adobe Creek is located at the rear portion of the lot with dense plants in the riparian area close to the creek. The surrounding neighborhood is considered as a transitional character neighborhood as defined in the city's residential design guidelines. For the new commissioner's reference, a transitional character neighborhood is a neighborhood that has been changing over the years from a traditional low-scale, mostly ranch style residences to have an inconsistent front yard pattern, inconsistent architecture styles, and etc. So the character assessment was made because the homes in the immediate neighborhood are mostly two-story homes with a few one-story homes. A distinct front yard area pattern in the neighborhood is also found. Additionally, residences have varying sizes and architecture styles, including but not limited to traditional ranch, modern ranch, Mediterranean, Spanish, French country, and contemporary architecture styles. With all the different streetscapes, homes features mostly moderate massing with wall plates approximately between 8 feet to 9 feet and 6 inches in height. Roof forms are a combination of simple and complex roof lines due to certain homes renovation in the neighborhood over the years. This slide provides the proposed site plan to the right and existing site plan to the upper left corner. The proposed first story is outlined in bolded black lines with the second story in the gray color. As compared to the existing building's footprint, The proposed structure will be at the proximate location, but further expanded to the west and east side. Extensive setbacks are proposed with at least 45 feet from the left side and 93 feet from the right side. The house is also
You're not on, the image is still people, it's not.
Not sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me. I'm sorry, I am not aware. I haven't sharing the one.
There we are. Yep.
Okay, so I just quickly go through the first couple of slides. I'm sorry. So this is the perspective from the street and also with the presentation about project scope. This is the vicinity map showing the location of the property. And this is the neighborhood characters with all the pictures showing around the subject site. And this is the slide that I was presented. Okay, so just continue from what I left there. The house is also found consistently with the R1-10 zoning district standards, including but not limited to lot coverage, floor ratio, and the height limit. And it should be noted here that the subject site has a very large lot area, near 1 acre in size. Due to this large lot size and its location at the end of Alta Vista and Chancellor Avenue, with Adobe Creek runs through the back. The proposed project is not a typical project the Design Review Commission as well as staff would normally see. So staff wants to mention here that all the following review and assessments are based on this property's specific site conditions. And another site feature is that the site has a downward slope from the highest elevation close to the street to the lowest elevation at the rear portion of the property. With an approximate lot depth of 200 feet, a 28-foot elevation drop is observed. And as part of the design review from staff is to assess whether the proposed residence would have an excessive grading on this hillside topo. The applicant has nicely provided this color-coded preliminary grading exhibit showing the cut and fill movements on site. Red color scheme indicates the excavation area and the green color scheme indicates the fill areas. The darker the color, it means more earthwork cut or fill. And based on this diagram, most earthwork cut, which is in the dark red, will occur at the new proposed basement areas and the swimming pool area. Most of the fill, which is in the dark green, will occur at the existing structure basement area facing the street that will be part of their front yard landscaping. Areas adjacent to the most cut and fill will gradually transition to the natural grading elevations with minor earthwork movements. Per the project engineer, there will be 830 cubic yards of cut for the main house and 960 cubic yards of cut and 550 cubic yards of fill for landscaping and site improvements, which also includes the swimming pool. A balance of 1,260 cubic yards will be exported as a result of the construction. Considering the large lot area and its extensive buildable area, staff believes that the proposed earthwork is consistent with the residential design guidelines to reflect the topo by following the natural and existing contours of the site. This is the basement floor plan, including a 3-car garage, gym area, storage, and mechanical room. This is the lower floor plan that includes 2 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms, 1 office, 2 living rooms, and 1 kitchen and dining area. The second story floor plan, there will be 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and 1 living room. A large terrace is also designed next to the living area and facing the south yard. This slide provides the north elevation of the existing building on top and proposed new structure at the bottom. As compared to the existing colonial architectural style, which has an overall height of about or greater than 27 feet, this new contemporary architecture with a flat roof will perform a less bulky appearance with an overall height of 23 feet, including a uniformed 9-foot and 6-inch first-story plate height and 9-foot second-story plate height. The proposed below-grade garage should be hidden from the public street, which is preferred by the residential design guidelines, and also strong horizontal roof features, less emphasis on vertical wall, distinct and high-quality exterior materials, and step-in and out articulation are found to complement to aesthetics of these residents. This is the east side elevation. Part of this elevation where I marked the proximity in red, the dashed line on the slide, will be visible from the public right-of-way. This elevation will face the neighboring property of 390 Chemso Avenue with at least 55-foot setback from the second floor to the east side property line. This is the south elevation facing the rear yard with 71.5-foot setback from the second story to the south rear property line. The terrace will have an approximate 74-foot setback from the rear property line. And as you can see, the terrace is also designed with solid wood screening. This is the west elevation with the rear setback of at least 103 feet from the second floor to the west side property line. And as you can see that all the 4 elevations are designed consistently with the same materials, colors, horizontal roof features, and other design treatments. With regard to the privacy impact, commissioners may already note that the proposed residence will have large windows fenestrated from finished floor to the top ceiling at the second story. Unlike other projects, staff did not require a reduction of the second story window sizes and also the terrace size, mainly because the proposed structure will have really extensive setbacks from all the property lines adjacent to the neighboring properties. Also, a quite large number existing and proposed trees and evergreen screening vegetation will be placed to further mitigate the potential privacy impacts. Showing on this slide, the applicant also provided the lines of sight analysis from the second story windows to the most adjacent properties at 260 Alta Vista at the north side and 390 Chemso Avenue to the right side. Regarding plants on site, there are 65 trees, including 18 protected trees, are located on site and further assessed by the project arborist. The summary of the assessment and tree protection plan is provided in the attachment C for commissioner's reference. 7 protected trees and 17 unprotected trees will be removed due to a variety of reasons, including but not limited to dead or diseased trees conditions, poor structure, and over concentration for some trees at certain area. Or other remaining trees will be retained and protected during future construction. 16 new trees, including maple, crepe myrtle, tea tree, and coast leaf oak trees with a minimum size of 36-inch box will be planted on site. It should be noted that one large coast leaf oak, tree number 165, this tree here, close to in the front yard, it may be impacted by the basement excavation during the construction. So in order to ensure the tree's long-term health, staff has required condition number 5 in the report for shoreline plan to be included in the construction drawing and shall also be assessed by the arborist. The landscaping also includes about close to 150 screening new plants that will be planted along all the property line. And the details of the screening vegetation is provided in table 1 and also added to the left side of the slide. So all those evergreen plants will reach to a height ranging from 7 feet to 15 feet and a spread width ranging from 4 feet to 15 feet at their mature age. And this slide provides the exterior materials include single membrane flat roof, stone veneer with horizontal and vertical wood exterior siding, decorative wood screen slats, and metal framed windows and doors. Lastly, for community outreach, the owner reached out to the neighbors early in the process since December last year. The outreach summary and support letters from the neighborhood are provided in attachment F for commissioners' reference. The applicant has also installed a billboard according to the Brown Act requirements. So with all the presented information, staff recommends the Design Review Commission approve the application SC 22-0006, subject to the listed findings. And now staff concludes the presentation and happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jai. Great presentation. No mention of historical significance or historical position on the house. Is that clear? We've had some of those issues in the past of whether it is or was, and then have to look at it further. So there's no question on the historical significance of the house.
The house is currently not listed on the historical inventory. I know the property next door at 210 Alta Vista is a listed historical resource. I was not a staff member when the recent historical inventory update was done in 2011. I would assume if 210 Alta Vista was assessed and recognized as historical resource, and 240 Alta Vista might be assessed at that time as well. But as a result now, it's not a listed historical property or historical structure.
And there's no question about that in terms of neighbors or other people wanting to maintain that it does have historical.
I haven't heard, I haven't heard any concerns from the neighbors.
And I'll ask the owners that same question also. Other commissioners, questions for staff?
Not at the moment.
Michael? Okay, David?
Yeah, just too quick. The creek isn't an issue. It's not a floodplain. Don't have to get approval from anybody with county water or anything like that.
That you're asking that of Jai?
Of Jai, yes.
Unmute, Jai.
Jai's muted.
I'm sorry. The structure is outside of the floodplain, and it has a minimum 25-foot setback from the top of bank of Adobe Creek. Therefore, like other projects, staff has no concerns at this point regarding the structure to the creek area.
Okay, and then secondly, there's going to be a lot of moving and doing soil and taking it out. Is there any sort of plan or discussion with the neighbors on how that's going to affect them?
Staff do not, so to Commissioner Blackhurst, that staff do not have any communication with the neighbor as well as the owner, but maybe the applicant can speak to that regarding the detailed export of dirt.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jai. Okay, thank you. Let's hear from the applicant and the architect. Welcome.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. My name is Tim Chappelle. I'm the architect working on the project. I'm the principal of Arcanum Architecture. we have the applicants here. We have Kareem and Alyssa Ferris. They're right there. We also have our landscape architect, Dustin Moore from Strata, to answer any questions. And just to introduce this project to you, I just want to give you a little background. The owners have lived in town for over 10 years. They love Los Altos, which everybody has tonight, of course. They did not want to leave this area. They wanted to find a bigger area, a bigger house location. And this is one of the few unusually larger sized parcels in this community. They specifically bought this property for its unique location. They live really close by. They know people in the neighborhood, and they really want to do something that would be sensitive to this location. And with the design of that, I think, can I do a screen share for you guys? I'll do a really quick little walkthrough of the concept of the house. So the house itself and the property, as you guys have talked about even already tonight, there's a lot of different factors that are really impacting kind of the way that the house is designed. We have the creek running through the back, which has setbacks, et cetera, through it. We also have on this side of the property, we have a dormant road that one time was here, which is now full of a lot of easements that has also impacted the property and location of any potential building. And we have a lot of very large, significant oak trees that we obviously want to retain all of them through the project. And so when we're doing the design of this house, we really want to do something that was sensitive to it. So in the diagrams that were brought to show you is the massing of the two-story building of the form is positioned predominantly where the existing two-story form is, except it is lower in elevation. And then what we've done is tiered the house down the hill. So we have a lower element that appears as a one-story element, which is daylighting down to the floor below with the garage as a two-story. But in reality, from the street level, you're only going to be seeing a similar mass, two-story mass from the existing house, with it terracing down the hill much nicer than the current house. And that was pretty much the backbone of kind of the concept of this house. And as you could see, when you were looking at our drawings, you know, we're not maximizing the size of this house. We've done everything we can to be kind of sensitive to the size and orientation of this building form. And I think this rendering kind of expresses the look of this. This is the extension of the street coming down, looking down the property. The house itself, you know, it is a large property next to smaller properties, and to be sensitive of that, and the house itself is maintaining its siting of what it is now to the left at an angle. It's not a prominent building form. It is lower and diminutive in scale. And as you can, as we discussed about it in the planning of it, we have the house terracing down. You have the two-story element at the upper part terracing down the hill, really cascading down with the hill, retaining of these large oak trees that are through the property. And that's really what we wanted to do. We really wanted this to be, you know, a little bit of a rural element here in this town. And that's the beauty of this property, is it has all the suburban density that make it a great kind of community, walking community for them. But also, because of the size of the parcel, its relationship to the other parcels around it, it has a little bit of a rural feeling to it, which is also really cool. But we wanted this element, we wanted to use natural materials in the house the way it's designed, by using stones and woods, so it wouldn't be a big, you know, dominant colored house. Like the existing house right now is a white house. It, you know, it was really done in 2001 or whatever it was. You could look back at the documents. They're talking about historic quality, but the house was really rebuilt back in 2000, all brand new inside, fairly new on the outside elements. It's a big white house that kind of sticks out. We're really trying to do something softer, more contemporary, but really talk about refinement, materials, the terracing down this hill element. And so by doing that, the house itself, we want to recede into nature and bring back a level of nature around it. Now, we've done a lot of, obviously, exploration with the materials, with the landscape architecture, intertwining that, and we've met a lot with the neighbors. Wanted to be sensitive to smaller neighbor houses around it. We've met with all the neighbors around us. We've had 2 long-term communications with multiple neighbors. So we have the neighbors that are to the south side here. They own the property that wraps around all the way behind the property, which has the historic barn way back here towards the highway, towards this direction. So it has these kind of, they come behind us. And in our communication with them, you know, we discussed with them the orientation of windows looking towards the property. We discussed the location of the house, and we actually made adjustments which are documented in the documents that are presented by the planning department. We actually moved the house farther away from them. We reduced the amount of windows and glazing looking down towards the open space down below. And that was kind of our way that we've been approaching this whole house, is trying to be sensitive to the neighborhood, to really create a quiet architecture element that really creates a sense of place for our client, but also really doesn't impact the neighbors. And the property up to the north, these neighbors, this was really interesting, is when we met with them, they said, we have no issues with your house at all. But they did tell us, you know, they like looking down the street here. And that became something that really became part of our design, is they love looking down the street as you come off the road, looking straight through towards the creek. They said the neighborhood kind of feels like it's an open space vibe to it. And so originally in our design, we had more of a solid wall element here for privacy, but we took that out. That was something we wanted to also give back to the community and be respectful with, allow the views that come through here. And Dustin, working with a landscape architect, they created this. So we did an open gate system here. So it's just really minimal. You can see almost a visible gate, which will be, you know, for the dog or whatever, to kind of contain that. But we're really minimizing that and pushing it back. So we really extend the views down that street, looking towards the creek. So we maintain that, obviously, that neighborhood feel. And so all of these things that we've done, we feel like we've been really addressing the neighbors. And then we met with the town, and one of the big questions the town was dealing with, what's a basement, what's not a basement. There was a big discussion that took a while for that. One of the things the town came back and talked to us about was, you know, we know this hillside property is a hillside, and we just really want to reduce the amount of grading and impact on this site. So we worked with them, and we reduced the size of the basement. We actually elevated the size of the height of the auto court. So we raised that vertical elevation of this, reduced the height of the garage ceiling, and then we reduced the amount that we were terracing down the hillside here, and that's not man-made. All of these to react to the town's perspective, where they said there's no like criteria saying you're moving too much soil, but they asked us to make kind of those kind of tweaks. And that's something that I've heard all evening today about during your discussion, is what kind of communication you've had with the community, what communication you've had with the town. We've been really responsive in trying to really kind of make this house work with not only the guidelines from the town, but also the neighbors too, to kind of, you know, it's a positive and negative. If there's something that you guys are looking at, we make those adjustments, and we've done this kind of throughout our design process. And the reason I bring it up is this, we're kind of proud with it, because as always during this design process, all these things usually come together and make, you know, a better project. That's what we have. So today we're really proud to kind of present this to you. We do have the owners here if you have any questions, and we also have the landscape architect, but we're excited to put this project in front of you today. Thanks.
Thanks, Timothy. Do the owners or the arborists want to speak?
Landscape
Hi.
architect.
This is Alyssa and Kareem. We just want to say thank you for your consideration. We're excited about our project, and we hope that you are too. Let us know if you have any questions.
Okay. Arborist, do you want to say anything yet?
Yeah, I'm the landscape architect.
Okay.
So I would just reinforce what Tim had mentioned about the process of the design, and we worked hand in hand with the neighbors to make sure that we're responsive. Especially the neighbors in the south, they were very concerned about the massing of the building and making sure that we have screening. So we've really built up that southern side with a lot of large shrubs and trees, all drought tolerant, which that's another thing that we should mention. It's lovely to have clients that don't have to fight with about doing drought tolerant plants. This plant palette's really responsible, low water use. But yeah, so we spent a lot of time working with the neighbors just to make sure that they're happy with the concept and that it's responsive to their needs.
I think I just have a question. There was that real big tree down in the creek. Is that part of, is there a removal, or do you just let it continue its natural?
The very large oak at the upper left of the spine. We're gonna have an arborist take a look at it to make sure that if there is anything structurally problematic, they'll fix that. My kind of high level review of it is it needs to be lightened up. So it has a lot of weight on the very edges of the tree. So we like to see that lightened up and just responsibly managed. But our plan is to stay away from it and make sure that we don't do anything to impact the health of the tree.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, do you have questions for owners, arbor or landscape and architect?
questions now. I just wanted to say a really nice presentation. I really like what they how they integrated the forest feel of that tucked in property, all really lush with trees, really balanced it out well with the wooden slats and the stone elements, and separated the first floor from the second floor. I think it really brings justice to the property. I think it's really well distributed. Like I saw the driveway coming down, thought that was a nice touch, but no questions. No.
Okay. Chepe, okay. Michael?
I don't have any question.
Okay. David?
No, I do not either.
No, I don't either. I think it's a great project, and you put a lot of work into it. I think it's going to bring a lot of pleasure and beauty to the property. Do we have a motion?
We're going to have public comment.
Public comments? Okay. Thank you.
Jai, are you aware of any public comment?
I don't see any hand raised
Okay.
or any member of the public who wants to speak. You can just go ahead and unmute yourself.
Right.
And I haven't heard anything also. So
Okay. Thank you. All right. Commissioners, do you have a motion?
We're going to have a discussion on it.
Yeah, we can. Go ahead. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I mean, I think the project is excellent. It's well thought out. It's well presented. The plans are good. We can read them. You know, to me, the house is awesome. I'd love to see it when it's done. But I also have to thank the architect and the owners for having such a complete package that makes it easier for us to make a decision on it. So I fully support it.
Okay. Chepe, you want to say something?
Me, just the same, just like I expressed it before, and I'll express it again.
Okay.
It was I think it's great. I got my thumbs up. Yeah.
Michael?
Yeah, same here. It's very well designed project. I believe the architect owner, landscape architect, they all put in a lot of effort and work with the neighbor, work with the town. Well, I mean, work with the city staff. It's very well thought. Usually, I mean, it's a very large lot to first begin with, and usually for the play height, the privacy, the deck. But consider the size of the lot, then the existing mature tree, and then the design effort. So yeah, it's a very nice project, and I'm in support of this project.
Right.
Yeah. Chair Harding, I just have one more comment, if I could.
Sure.
I would ask that, because we haven't heard anything about it, that the applicant work with the neighbors, which sounds like they had, in regards to the construction, the dirt removal, those type of things. Because I think it's probably going to be a lot of trucks coming up and down that street, and it's not a whole lot of parking there.
Yeah. Okay. Owners or architect want to comment on that?
We haven't had a specific conversation. I mean, there hasn't been an issue brought up with it. One of the neighbors that own the property south of us, they've done the largest amount of remodel work on their property. They actually kind of, told us, more about this process than not. And we talked about construction and kind of things that they were going to want us to be careful with. But nobody's brought up any issue with the construction. I mean, obviously, any construction you're doing, we're trying to balance some of the site as much as possible with the soil, where we are filling and cutting too. But there is a basement that's existing. It's where we are trying to model kind of the house as best as we can with the existing site, with the grading. But be as sensitive as you normally can. I don't know what else, but no, nothing has been discussed specifically.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Dustin.
Yeah, as part of the construction process, we'll have to have a dust and erosion control or erosion management program. So As they're doing all the earthwork, they're going to be wetting down the site to make sure that we don't have a lot of dust migrating off site. So that will be all part of the building permit and grading permit package.
All right. Thank you, commissioners. Do I have a motion?
So to move SC 22-0006 for 240 Alta Vista Avenue to approve the project by accepting all the findings and conditions.
Do I have a second? Chepe,
Yeah.
second.
Second.
All right. David,
Aye.
Chepe.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Myself, I. Congratulations to everyone, the team. We're looking forward to seeing this project go forward. So thank you for bringing such a complete set of plans and well thought out process. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice
Thank
work,
you.
guys.
Thank you all. Thanks for
Thank
staying
you
up late.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Let's see. We have the last thing is commissioner reports. The only thing that I have is I think we all received, I'm not sure whether the new commissioners received the email about some updates on Brown Act activity. And I know in past years, we would occasionally have a Brown Act recap from the city attorney or someone. So that's my question. And I don't know, Chepe, if you're familiar with Brown Act and what it does. It's
Never heard of it. No.
Collusion and all kinds of other subsets of things where people are working basically without an open agenda. So it's a very important thing. And this particular item that I just saw, I think today or yesterday, has to do with electronic Twitter accounts and so forth. How we cannot basically, we cannot more than a one-on-one. We cannot accumulate members to talk about anything in any, either online or in person. So Sean, what would you say about that?
What I can do is I can reach out to Angel, the city clerk, and inquire about if there's going to be any future Brown Act trainings. There usually is one every year annually for the commissioners.
Right.
I do plan with the new commissioners to meet with them one-on-one, typically to give them an orientation, especially to talk about the Brown Act.
Okay.
I imagine the city clerk's already talked to you about it, but if you haven't, we'll talk about it a little bit more so you're aware about the limitations of that. Other than that, I'll make sure to talk to them and find out and give you an update at the next meeting.
Okay, and when is our next meeting?
Next meeting is on the 2nd, November 2nd. And we do have agenda items. I think we have 3 right now.
Great, okay. Commissioners, also welcome, Chepe. Nice to have you with us. And
It's great to be here.
Yep.
Thank you all for your support, and I hope I can just learn the vocabulary that's used in one of these
Sure.
in every stage of it. Yeah.
You've seen the range of projects that come before us. Sometimes
Right.
There's just many issues that are unsettled, let's say. And then this last project, perfect example of just everything was well presented and thought out and easy to approve. So
And then one of the issues sometimes is like the clients don't want to pay any extra hours to get the architects to do nice presentations. So they end up with these very basic elevations, very basic info, and the architects is usually pushing the clients to get more. It's not really more to get money from them. It's more business. It's really about showing and being able to explain graphically and visually, because if you're going to have a 10-15 minute window to explain all this, it better be darn clear, because it really helps a lot. Especially a lot of people here that they mentioned they're not architects, but it's kind of like reading a book. If it's really clear, it's going to be clear. So yes. I'm empathetic sometimes with that, because it can be expensive. I'm guessing that this last presentation just, that cost them a good and small fortune, but yes, I mean, it does help. We wish all the projects were like that, but not everybody's as fortunate, but yeah.
Yes, they are. Okay, any other comments, anybody? Jai, nothing? Okay. Sean, nothing? Okay, thank
Nothing
you all.
else.
See you all November 2nd.
So
Have a
the
pleasant-
meeting, is the meeting's excused and the time, if you could state
Yep.
that?
10:36, I get.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
same.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Good night.
Have a
Good
pleasant
night.
evening, everybody.
Bye.